Over to you, ma'am.
So thank you, Prabha ma'am, and good evening, one and all, and participants. Welcome back to day 4. Um, we started with many sessions from the 2nd of December, and now we are on the day 4. So quick snapshot of the day 3, where we had renowned two speakers, one from industry and another one from the academia. So we actually focused more about the critical aspects of the modern industries. So when we started with the Nikhil Srivastava, I think Nikhil Srivastava was the first of our speaker for the day 3, and then he started with the role of entrepreneurship in the shaping the future of energy and mobility. He emphasized the transformative potential of entrepreneurial innovations in driving clean energy solutions and smart mobility system, showcasing how startups are pivotal in creating a sustainable and connected future. He did mention about his own company, that is a Blue Neighbor, and he talked about the solar sheets and the way they are building up in the recent times. And then we moved on to the second session, which was led by Dr. Meenakshi Patil. She's a professor from CMRIT Bangalore. And then she delved into the leveraging AI and the IoT for the smart mobility and logistics. Dr. Patil shared her expertise on the revolutionary impact of AI and the IoT in enhancing efficiency and sustainability and connectivity across transportation and logistic networks. So overall, to our understanding, how I've gathered the reflection, what we have gathered reflections across between all of you, that we have, I think, gained actionable insights into integrating cutting edge technologies to shape smart cities. Definitely, the discussions were thought provoking and fostering creativity and equipping participants, all of you, with innovative strategies for future ready solutions. So, all in all, it was again great learning as a part of the day 3, and looking forward for the day 4 to open up some more insights into the smart mobility area. So, over to you, Prabha ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that wonderful recap. It's inspiring to reflect on the significant knowledge gained over the past few days, and I'm confident that today's sessions will further enrich this learning journey. Let us move forward to our first session for the day on creating sustainable and smart infrastructure for startup ecosystems. I now invite Professor Satish to introduce our esteemed speaker for this session. Over to you, sir.
I'm audible, madam.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. With immense pleasure, I introduce Mr. Vadiraj Managoli, the resource person of the topic, creating sustainable and smart infrastructure for startup ecosystems. Mr. Vadiraj completed engineering BA in Electronics and Communication from Karnataka University. Later, he had his proficiency program from Indian Institute of Science, then completed MBA from ICAFAI. Later, he has held various positions such as consultant, project lead, project manager, associate director, and director. Now, he is a senior director of cybersecurity GRC at Capgemini, Bengaluru. Sir, on behalf of everyone, I welcome you once again. Thank you all. Over to the host.
Thank you so much, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you
Yes,
are audible.
Vadiraj.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
So can't see you, Vadiraj.
Okay, you want to see me? Okay.
Actually,
Okay.
participants are indeed interested to see who is the expert for today.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Would you be able to share your presentation from your end, Vadiraj? That is comfortable.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing that right away. One
Yeah,
sec.
please. So, Prabha ma'am, kindly give the access to Vadiraj.
It's there, ma'am. Already it's given.
Okay, one of you have to let me know, if my screen is visible.
To load, sir, it's
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Yes,
Now
sir.
you
It's
can watch.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, for a wonderful presentation, and I hope the program has been going on quite well for the last 3 days. If you don't mind, I might have to switch off my camera for the time being during my presentation because of the bandwidth issue. So I would probably come back once this is taken care of. I hope.
Yeah, it
you
is
can.
absolutely fine, Vadiraj. Probably what I would really request and recommend during the Q&A, kindly switch on your camera.
Sure, sure.
We can
I will
continue.
do that.
Yes, yes, please
Sure,
that.
sure.
Do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So again, thank you so much, the St. Francis College and everybody from uh, the college, for having me invited, for this session. I did give one more FTP program about a month before, and that was wonderful. I hope everyone liked it. And this time, this is going to be a little different topic here. So it's about the startup ecosystem and smart cities, which is kind of taking place across the world, and it is also happening a lot in India. So the city that you are in, Bangalore, is one of the smart cities or upcoming smart cities, I would say. Okay, but everything is fine. But who would look at from the security standpoint, for these smart cities? Okay, so some of you might be thinking about what is security to do with these smart cities, right? So you would go ahead and then and upgrade a city to a smart city by doing certain XYZ things, and what is cybersecurity to do with that, right? So there is a lot to it, and that is something that I would try to cover. This is something it can be taught as a semester program or a year program, but I'm just trying to bring in everything. So I would be touching upon some of these factors, at a very high level, and I think we can look at some of the question answers to answer or to get more insights on that one. Okay, so my agenda is going to be like this: an introduction to what we are going to be looking at right now, and I would like to start with my understanding of what is a smart city, and followed by what's a startup ecosystem, right? So I hope there are a lot of students here, and of course along with a lot of dignitaries from academia as well as the industry. Okay, but I think from the students' point of view, I would like to touch upon. In fact, in the last 3 days, several speakers must have looked at what is this, and then maybe I would like to put up my view of looking at it, and let's look at the sustainable and smart infrastructure for startup and what is required infrastructure for a startup, and then we would start looking at how does it intersect with cybersecurity, or how would cybersecurity intersect with all these you know uh, activities, right? So then let's look at some of the challenges in cybersecurity, because cybersecurity comes in with a lot of potential solutions. At the same time, it does also come out with a lot of challenges as well, right? So then we will look at a very very high level of how we can bring in best practice. So there could be hundreds or there could be millions of best practices for every solution, sorry, every problem statement or problem that you would look into, coming along with again another set of challenges. But we can definitely look at best practices. This is cybersecurity is still an evolving field. Okay, so I hope there was no cybersecurity say about 15, 20 years before, right? So this is still an evolving for every problem that you come across in any field, right? So there has to be a security looking at it, right? So then we will conclude, with a couple of statements from there, right? So let's get started with an introduction. Okay. See, I mean, we are going to get started with looking at what are smart cities, right? So if you just imagine about 25 years back, 30 years back. Probably I cannot ask that one to the students because students must be in their 20s. Okay, but I mean older people like me, whoever is on the call, right? So if you can look at that, right? So there was nothing called as a smart city, right? There used to be cities. In fact, people like me have not even, we used to visit cities which is like Bangalore or probably Mumbai. Otherwise we were probably living in smaller cities, or which were also called as if not villages, but taluka places or something, right? So this concept of smart city was never there, right? So for everything, I mean, there were no phones, there were no computer and internet and other things. Okay, so you used to go to certain place. Okay, probably go to a movie. Okay, go to the movie half an hour before, stand in the queue, buy tickets, go in, enjoy the movie and come back, right? So versus everybody knows, how we are, planning for a movie nowadays, right? So that is what is changing or has changed a lot in the smart city concept, right? So that is possible by having a startup or a startup ecosystem into the overall system over here. So what is a smart city to do with startup ecosystems? I've got a couple of examples, when we start looking at it, right? So that's what is bringing up these cities into smart cities through innovation and entrepreneurship and so on and so forth, right? So we'll probably look at what they are, right? So if you look at a startup ecosystem, it's nothing but a dynamic and fast evolving environment, right? Characterized by innovation. So why innovation? Okay, so if you want to change from something to something else, I gave you an example of going to a movie. Again, about 20 years back, 25 years back, 30 years back, we used to go to a theater. Okay, there was nothing called as multiplexes that point of time. Stand in the queue. Okay, buy paper tickets, go inside, watch movie, and come back. And I don't have to tell you, now how we go to movies, right? We don't even go to the theater. I mean, of course, we go to the theater to watch the movie, but we will sit at home. Okay, go to these apps, if you have the apps or something. Okay, so buy a ticket, which is not going to be a paper ticket. This is going to be a virtual ticket, right? So you go there, just show your virtual ticket on your mobile phone. Okay, go in, he will scan it, with a QR code scanner or something. He will validate that you are who has bought a ticket, right? So then, let you in. So this has happened only through innovation. Okay, somebody sitting in a corner thought that why don't we have a system wherein you make a payment, through an app or something, or through a payment gateway, and why don't we have a ticket also bought there, right? So they thought something innovatively, right? And when they did think about these things innovatively, there was an entrepreneur who came in and started a company, right? So which will start providing those services. So that's how this innovation and entrepreneurship started, when we started looking into converting these cities into smart cities, right? So that also has created a lot of significant economic impact, right? So I wouldn't say that the movie industry or the cinema industry has now having a roaring business. I should say, compared to the previous days when we used to go to theaters and buy those paper tickets. Now this has definitely impacted a lot because people have that facility to sit at home on their couch and then buy tickets, right? But then again, something which is against that is, you have your OTT platform, wherein almost every movie comes onto the TV. You don't have to pay for that. You get to watch that. But but if you look at that, the economic impact has happened a lot, when these smart cities came into picture, right? So see, I mean, once you have that, you have an innovator, you have an entrepreneur, and trying to bring in certain changes. Some of the changes, become success. Most of the changes fail. I mean, there is a study that out of 100 innovations or 100 startups, almost about 90 to 94 of them, fail, right? Because of certain reasons which we will not look into as of now. Okay, so but when you start looking at these um this growth, right? Which requires robust infrastructure as it is given here. Okay, so you need to have a kind of sustainability for that. Your business should sustain, right? So you're not looking at a short-term period of say a month or a year or something. We're looking at having this business sustain for years and years together, maybe tens of years or something, right? So it's not that you open a company here, with an innovative idea, people like it, and tomorrow also, this is going to be the same thing, right? So it is going to be definitely in a sustainable fashion. You need to bring in more to it, different ideas. People would definitely and very easily get bored of certain things, and there is competition also. So you need to keep looking at sustainability as one of the features wherein you need to ensure that your business is sustained, right? So the if you look at the last sentence on my paragraph, the critical at often emphasized, right? The pillar is the infrastructure of cybersecurity. Okay, so people do look at everything, innovation, entrepreneurship, open companies, open startup, you have an ecosystem and so on and so forth. But most of the time, I mean, cybersecurity is very much underemphasized and people do not look into that, right? So with the with the invent of all these things, and with cybersecurity gaining importance and becoming more threat prone, right? So you have a lot of bad things that are happening, because people are not looking at that, and they're not emphasizing the importance of cybersecurity, right? So when you look at it, cybersecurity not only protects your startup or a business from the risks associated with digital transformation. Okay, so say for example, if I'm going to talk again about this movie theater example, right? So what if uh, your money is lost during the payment gateway in transaction, right? Somebody who is eyeing on your payment transactions, pick up that money and then doesn't ensure. I mean, he ensures that it doesn't reach the movie theater or the payment gateway providers, right? So that is one of the flip side of digital infrastructure or digital transformation, wherein you also should look at, once you start your transaction at point A, it should reach the intended point B, right? So it could happen because of certain things, because of the software error, software bug or something. It could also happen because of cybersecurity related reasons, right? So nowadays, this is good that the companies have started looking into cybersecurity. Say if you are a service provider, okay, say for example, again, um, the movie theater one, right? So if this app wants to integrate their payment gateway so that the consumer can pay through this payment gateway, the app owner is looking at that payment gateway company. Say, for example, it could be a Razor Pay, or it could be Paytm, or it could be a Phone Pay, or whatever it is, right? So they're looking at how secure the Razor Pay is, okay, to ensure that my money should reach me, right? So that is what they're looking at it. There are different ways of doing that. Let me not go deeper into that. Some of the high level things that they would start looking at, when payment gateway is needed to be considered is, are you certified with the global cybersecurity standards, right? So there are some of the things. So what has happened here is that companies who want to avail the services have started looking into cybersecurity as one of the aspects, right? So they would want to go ahead and then avail the services only and only if the service provider has a minimum requirement of cybersecurity that is met with. So that is one good thing which is happening. So emphasizing is coming in, and people have started looking into that. So that's about a quick introduction. So just wanted to reach out to, or look at the smart cities, okay? Because again, taking an example of a city and a smart city, okay, what makes a city a smart city, right? So if you look at a smart city leverages technology, okay, and data. I mean, of course, when there is a technology, when there are people, there is always a data, right? So to enhance the quality of life of residents, okay, so if you look at Bangalore, Bangalore has got, or is one of the good smart cities which has implemented or incorporated many features of a smart city. So we can look at some of these examples. For example, the movie ticket thing that I'm talking about, all the multiplexes, you can go ahead and buy tickets online or through your app, rather than going into the theater and standing in the queue and buying those tickets, right? So that is one example. But there are quite a few examples with which we can say that Bangalore has started incorporating, or has already incorporated a technology, and to ensure that the life of the residents becomes much easier, efficiency is improved, right? And they also look into promoting the sustainability. Okay, so how can we achieve this city becoming a smart city? Is few things here. Technology integration, that is one, and I would say that the foremost thing with which you can convert a city into a smart city. Okay, so they use a lot of these technologies like ICT, that is information and communication technology. Everything has to get communicated. When you talk about payment gateway, when you make a payment, sitting at your home, to buy a movie ticket, right? So this involves in a kind of communication wherein your money transacts from your phone to your bank to the the buyer's bank, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of data transfer that happens, a lot of information that moves around here. Okay, Internet of Things, which is new. Probably some of the speakers might have spoken about it. Dr. Pankaj was mentioning about yesterday. Somebody was talking about it. A lot of Internet of Things has come into picture. I think I think you guys know it much better than anybody else, that anything that that runs with an internet, okay, incorporated is called as an Internet of Things. It could be your, your starting with your phone and a lot of devices that you use at your home, with which you can, uh, control certain devices or something is called as an Internet of Things. A lot of those things have started coming in, right? So when you look at that, there are some city problems, that you will like to go ahead and then uh, take care, by using these technologies, right? So that's and one more thing, how you can uh, integrate the technology, right? So I would like to give, a couple of examples here. I mean, if you look at some of the improved services like traffic management, waste management, okay, public transportation, energy distribution, and so on and so forth, right? So if I could give an example of a traffic management, I hope most of you guys are from Bangalore, and many of you must have traveled from Bangalore to Mysore or some other larger cities. About again 15, 20 years back, we did not have something called as these toll booths, right? So then toll booths started, because they want to collect money from us, to maintain their roads with a good quality or something. And there used to be a lot of line because you had to stop there, pay them by cash. Okay, so then go ahead. And what has changed it from paying by cash? Now this is a fast tag or something, right? So you put in a RFID kind of technology, use a RFID technology. Okay, put that thing on your car windshield, and it just reads it and then deduct money from your bank account, right? So that is what is happening. Okay, with the traffic management, if I take an example, going further, okay, I don't know how many of you have read or have noticed it. If you travel from Bangalore to Mysore, right? So they have built up a very nice infrastructure, good roads there. So it also started with toll roads with fast and so on and so forth. Now there is a news that they're going to remove these fast tags because of the traffic congestion that is happening even with this new technology. So every car will be connected with the nearest pole wherein your data will get transferred, right? And the satellite will read your position of your car, where are you passing through, and then based on the distance that you cover, okay, so it will deduct money from your bank account, right? Going further, right? So they also want to control the speed on these very nicely put up roads, right? So when you see a good road, so you will want to probably go with a speed of about 140, 150 if you have a good car, right? So that's not something the cops wanted. They want you to ride it within 100 kilometers per hour or something. So it is very, very hard to catch hold of these guys because they are going very, very fast. And I don't think our nowadays police cars, can, or police jeeps can go with such a speed. So they have incorporated AI into that. So what they want to do is, with the help of satellite, they want to start looking at or tracking a car at point A, okay, and probably 10 kilometers down the line, there is another tracker wherein they would look at, okay, in how many minutes this car has traveled from point A to point B, okay, and they know the distance, and with which they will be able to calculate what is the speed with which this car went from point A to point B. If this is more than 100, so there is a cop standing by and who will also get a communication saying that this car is going at a speed of 121 kilometers per hour. He will stop you and fine you. So this is all good things about making a city as a smart city, right? This is how you can bring in technology. So is this an end of usage of technology? Definitely no. If you can think about looking at problem solving through technology, you can bring in something else and then probably uh, start using it, right? So you have to kind of prove that your solution is going to be solving the problem. Okay, again, sustainability comes into picture. I did talk about sustainability. It's something that you may want to look at, ensuring that your business is sustained, okay, with some more criteria that are coming out with, right? So that's how you are looking at that, because now you've got very powerful lighting and so on and so forth, but you can't keep on using energy. Energy is still something a non-renewable in India, so we are still not up to the mark that we have started using renewable energy. We're still on the way, but you have to use a sustainable devices or something with which the energy consumption goes down. So that is also something that you should look at from the sustainability point of view. So there's something called as carbon emission. with any energy device that you use, there is a carbon that gets emitted. You need to ensure that it comes out with a lesser carbon, which is not good for the human being, right? So a lot of things on the sustainability. So citizen engagement. So this is what I was talking about when I looked at it. Okay, how many of you go to the BESCOM office now, the Bangalore Electricity Board, to pay your bill? So hardly anyone, right? So I mean, if maybe my father or your father, your grandfather, if you're still there in from the older days, right? They want to go to BESCOM office, stand in the queue, pay in cash, and then come back, right? But otherwise, everything is at a click of a button. You have an app, wherein you put in your RR number or something, it pulls your record, you pay it off, and that's it. So they will get the money, they will get the details of your payment, and so on and so forth. So that's how you're kind of ensuring that the residents have got a lesser problem of day-to-day activities with which they need to deal with the local governments or local municipalities, whatever you want to call it as, right? So you can definitely look at some of these things which have improved into a smart city culture or so. Okay, economic growth. Okay, so having all these things, so definitely you will end up uh, paying more money to get these ease of doing certain things. Okay, so if your movie ticket was costing say 100 rupees, when you buy it from an app, you will end up paying about 120 rupees. There is something called as a convenience fee, and so on and so forth. So many companies will gain out of it, okay, because they are giving you comfort of sitting at home and then buying a ticket. Okay, so the company which is involved in ensuring that the payment is transacted, which is a payment gateway company, will make money out of it. The app which is giving you an interface of a movie theater and movies and so on and so forth, which your app will make money out of that, and movie theater sitting at a multiplex corner will make money as well. So that's how and people will start looking at this option as one of those easy options wherein I can buy a movie ticket sitting at home, I can watch the movie, right? So there is improved economic transaction that happens, which will ensure that the city gets into a economic growth, right? So I can take up examples of these things with other areas as well. So businesses will come in, they will invest in some of these app owners or something, because they're bringing in a newer innovative idea of doing certain things. Okay, let's start looking into a startup ecosystem, right? So startup ecosystem. What is a startup? Startup is a company which brings in these newer ideas to ensure that in this example, a city becomes a smart city. So again, and I gave you a couple of examples of a movie ticket or probably an app, through which you pay multiple bills, right? So on and so forth. But does it happen that okay, I have an innovative idea, I want to start a startup, okay, a company. So can I start the company from tomorrow? Right? It is not possible. In the sense, it is almost impossible, I would say, without having a good ecosystem in place, right? So let's look at some of these components of startup ecosystem. The list that I'm showing here is not the end of them. There are quite a few of them. So if you look at certain things like, if I start from the top here, right, there are some support groups, which will have some experience, running or having these startups. They will be coming into the picture of the ecosystem. There are established companies, say, for example, there are these payment gateway companies which will come in and say that okay, we will help you do those transactions if you want to bring in your idea into the the ecosystem or something. There are educational institutions, right? So you cannot say that. See, there are, I'm pretty sure that there could be a lot of courses that are going on around the startup, the innovation, okay, the ideation, okay, ecosystems, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of technology institutions, they are giving technological related you know um, courses, to ensure that people understand how to use this technology, to ensure that I bring in a startup ecosystem or something, right? So the funding organizations, you need money. Okay, you need money to build infrastructure, you may need money to pay to the people who are working for that. Okay, so you need money for a lot of other areas, right? So you have to have those funding organizations or funding companies as well. Service providers, and I did talk about them, like your razor pay, okay, and so on and so forth. There could be a couple of others, and if you want to um, bring in a taxi company, right? So you would probably need other taxi smaller companies which are not into this technology to provide you some of the services. So if you look at Uber or Ola, the best thing about Uber and Ola are those they don't own a single car. Okay, but if you look at that, they are the world's, I mean, I would say Uber is the world's largest taxi aggregator, right? So they use the cars that are available, on rent, in that city, and ensure that the company runs with that. And research organizations, because most of these startups, start with some kind of idea or ideation, right? So that it could be an innovation that comes out with. So there have to be some research organizations which I could also call them as kind of incubators, wherein you bring in your idea, which is there in your brain. Okay, so give a shape to it, do a POC out of it, proof of concept out of it, fail several times, and one find, and you will come out with a successful um, product or something. So your research organizations will go ahead and give that kind of platform wherein you would see an ideation or an innovation becoming a product out of that, right? So I did talk about some of these things. These are some of the compositions. We did talk about ideations, inventions, research, and we also spoke about the IPRs in our previous faculty development program. um, you have to ensure that your innovation is not copied by somebody else, and so on and so forth. Entrepreneurial education and being entrepreneurs, that's one of the top courses in any of the educational institutions. And if you go and want to start a business or something, angel investors, nothing but your funding organizations. So there are individuals who want to who have already been there, done that, kind of people who would understand what that innovation is. So they would understand the risk of it. They would probably look at a point of view that whether this uh, uh, whether this new invention or new innovation will sail through in the market or not. And then they will fund venture capitalists again, same kind of thing. Startup team members. Okay, you need to have aggressive team members who would come in with a lot of ideas. They should look at doing things in different ways, not follow the standard way of doing things. Startup mentors and advisors, a lot of people who would have already done it. There are people like the founder of Ola, I would say, Bhavish Agarwal, right? So he has already done quite a few startups, and then he might be one of the mentors for people who want to start a new company, right? So people from related organizations, there are these things available in these dots and all. Startup events. Okay, so I have everything, but I don't know which platform I have to go ahead and use and put up my idea, right? So there could be some startup events wherein people can come out with their ideas and innovations, and prove and talk about it, and prove that this could become a successful organization or successful product. So there are people sitting on the other side, who are like your startup mentors, venture capitalists, angel investor, who would listen, ask a lot of questions, and then they could be interested in funding that those kind of innovations. Coming to sustainable and smart infrastructure for startup. Okay, so now I'm coming from one one point to another point. So we did talk about smart cities. We did talk about startups. Then we will start looking at what kind of infrastructure which is smart as well as sustainable. Which are required for the startups. Okay, so there are quite a few key components. So this is where I would start bringing in my cybersecurity perspective. So you could start seeing some of the technological verbiage here and a lot of cybersecurity related area. So if you start looking at it, physical infrastructure, so you need an office, you need a chair, you need an internet, you need set of systems, okay, and so on and so forth. You need a lot of network in other places. There are places available which are called as co-working spaces, because you may not have enough funding to buy and lease an entire floor, entire apartment, sorry, entire office or something. There are co-working spaces wherein you can just rent a table and a chair and a phone and a internet line. So with which can get started. So incubators, again, we did talk about it. They are the ones um, which will ensure that your ideas are looked into, and there are mentors available who will help you come out with an idea becoming a kind of product. Data centers, so you need a lot of data to be generated, to be used, and from the internet, or something that you create, and so on and so forth. right? So there are data centers that should be available. Say to begin with, if I look at it, the data centers can be your internet service providers. So then you can start looking into your own data centers. If you look at large companies, they will have their own data centers because they produce a lot of data, right? So it could be in the form of anything. It could be a code, it could be a document, it could be anything for that, right? So they cannot just let it go sit on the internet available to everyone. So they will have their own data centers wherein the data that is produced or created by them will go and sit, right? So again, sustainability comes into picture. These data centers have to be powered by renewable energy sources. If I look at the data center of Google, okay, which has got multiple thousand servers, okay, put it in a meshed network, okay, it's looking like a mesh, okay, so they're connected to each other, okay. So when you have thousands and thousands of servers that are connected to each other because they have to provide you data when you do a search on the internet, through Google, okay. So the 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 algorithm is in such a way that it does calculate, because see, you have to get accurate data, you have to get it very fast. Most of the time when you look at it, you do a search, you could get the results back within fractions of seconds or probably a couple of seconds, okay. So your request is going to these the cluster of servers, okay. So get processed there, and the servers will go into looking at the huge amount of data that is available on the internet, okay. Bring in the right data and show it to you, right? So if you could just imagine the kind of heat that is being generated, right? So that is enormous, okay. So you have to maintain your data centers at, okay, minus degrees. It could be -4 or something, because your servers are working 24 hours when by 365, and emitting so much of energy in the form of heat, right? That has to brought down, right? So with a lot of cool air or cool environment. And if you look at it, I mean, companies like Google have started, putting in their clusters of services under the water. Okay, so you can go ahead and Google it. Google has put in a lot of their servers or data centers inside the sea. Okay, because it provides natural, um, a natural climate, where you don't have to really worry about making the data center building cool or something. So they have put in a lot of those things. They're like a huge cylindrical pipes. It's pretty huge, and you can probably look at some of the pictures when you do Google it. So they will put it under the sea and ensure that there is not much of a power that gets emitted, right? So it is that huge. So that is just to ensure that um, you are sustainable in nature and you're not emitting a lot of heat or something. So digital infrastructure. So a lot of these cloud-based platforms. So I hope most of you understand what is a cloud platform versus an on-prem. On-prem is called as on-premises, right? So you have a server sitting, okay, which is on the same premises, on the same building, which is called as the on-premises, versus you have a server sitting elsewhere. You don't even know where it is, okay, but this is being there in a cloud-based platform or something. That is called as a cloud-based platform. So now everything is based on cloud-based platform. So IoT systems, we did talk about it. AI-driven tools, that supports scalability, because the cloud-based, I've got demand-based, approach wherein you could say, okay, I'm feeling that my laptop needs more memory, right? So I'm running with about 500 gig of data. Okay, so I think my memory is being consumed. I would like more. So if you have a cloud-based solution, you can ask for more. Okay, the moment that you go ahead, and get into the integrated portal of that cloud-based platform and you ask for it, they will charge you certain amount, and the next moment you will get another 500 gig, right? And you can also have something like, um, so I need it only for 5 days, right? So I'm getting into a Christmas season now. I need more memory because my transactions are more, people are buying a lot of things from me. So I need more more memory, whether it is a RAM memory or a ROM memory, whatever it is, right? So I need it only until what, first week of January. You can still get it. You can still pay only for the days that you consume it, right? So those are the beauty about cloud based platform, and every maintenance is taken care by them, right? So there are some of these things, wherein the digital infrastructure is providing so much of competing and efficient infrastructure, so that you can bring up your infrastructure within a day. If you have everything else, that we covered in the previous slide about the ecosystems, okay, so you can build your digital infrastructure within a day or 2 days or something, right? So, and this is also helping us in fast decision making. Just to give an example, there are again coming into the cybersecurity world right here. So if you look at the cyber threats, okay, so they are called as threat actors. There are threat actors are the so-called bad people, always looking into companies and organizations to see how I can hack into the system and make something out of it, right? So they are always kind of hitting your infrastructure, okay, so with some um, transactions, to ensure that, okay, whether I can get into your system and steal something out of it, right? So, but there could be something that there could be these hits, which are genuine in nature, right? So if you look at if you look at you're asking for a data from a particular server, okay, so you say for example Google itself, right? I need to know about which film is running in this XYZ multiplex, tomorrow at 12 noon. Okay, so you go ahead and put in that request, which will hit the Google server. I mean, just to give an example, at the same time, somebody else might be hitting the Google server, with the same, same kind of or a different kind of hit, right? So Google should be in a position to go ahead and do an analysis of which is the right hit versus which is the wrong one. When I say wrong one, whether it is a threat or not, right? It becomes very, very difficult when you have thousands and in some cases millions of hits that are coming into your set of servers. So AI comes into picture here, to do those threat analysis, and you need to fill in AI tools with a lot of smartness, and then they can go ahead and do this threat analysis within seconds or something. That's how the cybersecurity comes into picture over here. There are a few things like operational ecosystems, like accelerator networks, and VCs, academia promoting. So these are like additional ecosystem components which will help bring in the startup with the sustainable and smart components. Okay, again, smart features here, automation and AI. Automation is, everybody knows automation is something which will replace the routine work, okay, to be done, okay, with speed and more accuracy, right? So automation is there coming in everywhere, okay. So and you also need AI for everything nowadays, and we can try to touch upon how AI can be used for certain things. Everybody knows nowadays, because if I go and look at everybody's smartphones, you might have one or the other AI app sitting in your app. You might be using it for different reasons and so on and so forth. Right. So the next one is IoT integration. These are like smart devices. You would go ahead and use a smart device here. I don't know how many of you have traveled by this Vande Bharat recently. I think it should be there in other trains as well. Earlier, there used to be this TC used to visit every compartment, used to ask for your ticket and look at it and do a tick on your paper. Now that has been you know um, taken care by, I mean, by the TC, who is carrying a tab in his hands, right? So this is connected with the central server of the railway system, wherein he would go ahead and look at your PNR number or something. He will tick that this person has already boarded the station or the train or something. It gets updated in the railway system saying that this person has already traveled, right? So that is how best you can look into IoT as an integrated device for logistics, for anything for that matter. It would end up reducing a lot of cost, because you can look at the delay in updating the railway systems, and you're using a lot of paper here. Okay, a lot of time gets wasted in looking at certain things and so on and so forth. And again, with the previous example of doing threat analysis using AI, you can do a lot of real-time decisions, right? So you can decide that, okay, I can let this hit get into my system because it's a genuine hit or genuine ask for certain data. So you will be able to make such fast decisions in real time. Big data analytics and other things, again, this is more into looking at a lot of data that is sitting, which you would go ahead and analyze to ensure that how the business is running. I mean, this is not directly related with cybersecurity. Let me quickly move on to that. Again, I'll not be spending a lot of time on this one. I mean, end of the day, you need to look at everything to be sustainable, right? So again, when I look at sustainability at this point of time, you're trying to help the mankind by not ensure, I mean, by ensuring that your infrastructures that you're bringing in and as part of your startup ecosystem will not harm the ecosystem of the earth, right? So which you will try to do looking at reducing the carbon footprints, okay, through renewable energy. I did give an example of uh, Google sending out their cluster of services under the sea, right? You will use efficient technologies. You're also looking at some of the smart grids wherein the wastage of electricity comes down, using some of the technologies like this. Promoting circular economy, that is, you will um, revolve around the same thing so that your economy increases, but does not get kind of wasted, in the waste management areas or something. And of course, you will be looking at digital inclusivity. So when you look at uh, diversity, and diverse communities that are encouraged as part of your startup ecosystem. Okay, so we did talk about a few examples of how cybersecurity or security, can get into these things. So now let's look at, again, at a high level, how cybersecurity can get intersected in some of these things, right? I'm sorry, I don't know whether this is visible or not. I should have used a different color here. If I can read it, how cybersecurity intersects with the infrastructure development in a startup ecosystem. Okay, so protecting digital assets. This is where I'm going to be talking purely about cybersecurity, right? So startups, rely heavily on intellectual property, which is IP, because you have innovated something, you have ideated something, right? So you are coming out with a new idea of problem solving. Okay, you need to ensure that whatever you produce as part of your uh, product, okay, should be protected, with the right intellectual property, uh, guidelines or whatever it is, right? So because your algorithm that if you are bringing in a way to do certain things, has to be proprietary. It should not get copied by somebody. And most importantly, sensitive data. Okay, so if you are giving your um, I mean, as part of using an app, right? So if you go ahead and use or provide your data, which is like your your first name, last name, your telephone number, your email ID, your sex, right? So and so on and so forth, which could be utilized by, again, threat actors for certain things. Okay, so there are quite a few examples wherein people have used these things, to use certain things. Just to give you an example, and I think everybody might have received these um, phishing calls, right? So wherein they say that I'm calling from, I mean, let me take that company name, ICICI Prudential Insurance Company. Okay, you had taken a insurance 10 years back, but you have paid only one premium and did not pay the next. Okay, so if you don't pay it in the next 1 month, right? So this policy will get expired. Okay, so and then they will go ahead and give you more details about you, right? So they know your address, they know your telephone number, of course, because of which they have called you. They know your first name, last name. They probably know your email ID, because the moment that you ask something, they'll be able to send it to your mail IDs, right? They would go ahead and give you a false policy number also. So they know more than what is required to be known, right? So what would people do is they will end up believing that, and they will pay for the next another policy premium, which is about say 50,000 or something, and they'll end up losing it, right? So why did these people get, or how did these people get those details, which are called as PII in the cybersecurity and data privacy world? PII is nothing but personally identifiable information. Any information with which you can identify a person, his or her stay details and so on and so forth, would be considered as PII. Unfortunately, this is not so emphasized, or this is not so important in India perspective. Thanks to our DPDP Act, Data Privacy Act, which has come in very recently, the government is trying to protect the PII information of residents, but it still needs probably ages, for us to look at that. But if you go to Western countries or European countries, there is immense importance that is given for protecting this PII, which is called as a sensitive data. Okay, so they have brought in some of the regulations called as GDPR. I don't know how many people know about this GDPR, right? So with which, if company which is using the sensitive data of the, I mean, GDPR is coming from a European standpoint. Any European country, okay, which is using the residence data, like, I told you, right, your name, date of birth, email ID, phone number, address, and so on and so forth. If they are not able to, protect it the way that GDPR regulation, okay, asks you to do it, right, they'll end up, paying a huge fine. The fine is something like, okay, 4 times of your annual revenue. Okay, if a company's annual revenue is, say, for example, okay, 1 billion euros. Okay, if you falter on that GDPR regulation, you will end up paying, 4 billion euros to this GDPR, community. It is so seriously taken, right? So, and as you know, India has got a lot of these software companies wherein the data, I mean, they're providing services to these European companies wherein they're supposed to be or expected to use the European residents data. Okay, so wherein GDPR kicks in and they come back with very, very stringent asks, very, very stringent guidelines, very, very stringent, expectation how to deal with the data. So they can say certain things like, the data will not leave the European boundary, European area or something, and so on and so forth, right? So much of it. And it could be financial data as well. Many times, the threat actors should not know what kind of financial transactions that you're doing. There are chances that it could be hacked in between, and then probably your account might get, lose entire money within seconds or something. So the banks are, operating with a very, very stringent, regulations and guidelines, which is put up by RBI in India. And the same thing is true with these things, worldwide as well. So sensitive data plays a very huge important role. That is where cybersecurity kicks in. That is where data privacy kicks in, right? So how do you do that is, typically doing encryption. I mean, going ahead with an encryption. Encrypting is nothing but if I take my name as Vadiraj and if I send it from point A to point B, okay, during transmission, it should get encrypted. So there are people who could hack this data in between the transmission. Okay, then we'll be able to pick it up. Okay, so the moment it leaves point, it should get encrypted so that nobody should be able to read what is there in the encrypted data. And the moment that it reaches uh, point B, there are systems which will go ahead and decrypt that data from whatever it is to the real information that is needed. Okay, data masking. Data masking is nothing but again, we would probably look at our Aadhaar data, our Aadhaar number, as one of the very important. I mean, nowadays, I mean, you can get your Aadhaar number anywhere. So, I mean, one um, one mistake most of us are doing there is that you go anywhere when they ask you for a ask you for a government ID, you go ahead and give your other ID or other card. Okay, so some of you might know that the organization which is providing Aadhaar is now providing a feature wherein they can mask your Aadhaar ID. Okay, only the last 4 digits are visible, the first 8 digits are masked. Okay, that is what is called as data masking, with which the person who is using your Aadhaar card will not know your entire Aadhaar card. Okay, so you know that Aadhaar card is linked to your PAN card, it is linked to your bank accounts, because without Aadhaar you cannot open your bank accounts and so on and so forth, which could be very, very risky and dangerous in case if it gets into the hands of the threat people, right? So they could use that for any extent to siphon your money out of it. Okay, that is what is called as data masking. It is also heavily used in IT industries when you have to deal with sensitive data. It could be a customer data or financial data or something. Secure access controls, that is providing access to a server which might be housing the sensitive data. So you just cannot give access to anybody and everybody who needs it. There are few things which are called as MFA, which is nothing but multi-factor authentication. if you look at that, all of us are using multi-factor authentication in a way or the other. That is signing to something. So if you have a bank app that is installed uh, on your smartphone, okay, so most of these banks are providing multi-factor authentication, wherein you probably need to go ahead and sign in with your username and password. Okay, then it will send out an OTP. Okay, so only when you put in your OTP, then it will let you into your bank account. That is called as multi-factor authentication. That is two types of authentication. Okay, so that is what is something that RBI is bringing in as a standard practice. Even if you do a certain transactions on through your app, it will not happen through, I mean, once you once they receive the OTP and another thing. So that is what is something to do with access controls. You need to make it more stringent so that people are not misusing that. Okay, so I mean that is again to safeguard your critical systems, critical bank details, and so on and so forth. Again, secure transmission of data. So I did give you encryption as an example, wherein the data that leaves from point A to point B has to traverse through with the secure transmission related encryptions or something, right? So these are some of the examples of how you can go ahead and safeguard your intellectual property or customer data or financial data and so on and so forth. Okay, I'm just giving, when taking a couple of examples here. Business continuity, again, very, very important one. So wherein there are some cyber attacks that will end up, getting into a ransomware kind of thing. Okay, I mean, I typically give a very, very simple example of a ransomware, which is nothing but, if you look at the movies or something, somebody will go ahead and then, kidnap a person. Sorry. To kidnap a person and say that you pay me so much and then I'll release your son, right? So exactly, this is the same thing that happens in the IT industry, wherein the 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 threat actors or the so-called bad people will gain access to your critical systems, and they go ahead and change your password, the admin password, to get into those systems and say that now I have control of your critical systems. Okay, you pay me $10 million, whatever it is, right? So then I will release these systems to you. I'll go ahead and give you the password. That is exactly what is called as a ransomware. This is exactly the same thing how kidnappings used to happen in the previous world, right? So they have just taken it to the next level, added digital into that, and then calling it as ransomware. That's also called as a cyber attack. Okay, and there are something called as DDoSes or DOS, denial of attacks. This is just to bring down your business down. Okay, so in the sense, say for example, how many of you have experienced when you had your results, say for example, 12th results or 10th results, right? The moment the results come into the portal, say at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:01, 10:02 or 10:05, you try to access your results, you will not be able to get it, because the standard answer that you get is server has gone down, right? Server is down. Why server is down? It is because the server has been designed to take up only a load of say about 100 or say 1,000 concurrent users. That is, 1,000 people can access information from the server at a single point of time. But when we are looking at lakhs and lakhs of people or tens of thousands of people hitting that server, to get their results, right? So the infrastructure will not be able to sustain. Right? It will not be able to tolerate that kind of load, and it just crashes or it goes down. So how is it connected with the denial of attacks or distributed denial of attacks? Is these bad people want to bring this businesses down, right? So say for example, if you take bank XYZ, right, a global bank, what they do is they would go ahead and start sending out a lot of transactional requests, okay, to that bank. Okay, say for example, I need this data and I need this statement and whatever it is, right? So it need not be as simple as this one, but they keep on hitting that server from outside of the world, with, I mean, continuous hitting of that server. It could be, I mean, they definitely use automation and AI nowadays, to hit those things. And that is what is called as denial of attacks, wherein they would keep on increasing the number of hits, to that server, which will go beyond 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, and so on and so forth, to a point when the server goes down and saying that, okay, I'll not be able to take up so much of load. right? So you are ensuring that the server goes down, and because of which the business stops, right? So that is their intention of ensuring that there is no business continuity, and with which they can probably gain something else, right? So that is what is called as denial of attacks, which is called as DOS. But companies have become smarter now, so they will start looking at the types of hit that is coming in from. Say, for example, if I am hitting a server of XYZ bank, through my laptop sitting at my house with thousands and thousands of requests, right? They'll come to know that this is coming from a single IP, and they will want to kind of block it. Okay, so again, the bad people have become smarter, so they start doing it in a distributed manner. Okay, they'll start hitting that server, from Bangalore, from Chennai, from Mumbai, from say Portland, from Europe, Japan, whatever it is. So they ensure that this is coming from distributed areas, distributed regions, so that it becomes little hard, for the organizations to look at from where is it coming from, because they just cannot consider this as an attack. So they need to ensure that this is a real request that is coming in, or this is a fake one, or the attack kind of request, right? So it becomes really hard for them to deal with these DDoS kind of attacks, right? So the intention of these bad people is to ensure that the day-to-day operations get halted, right? And again, they could ask for money and so on and so forth. Or what would happen is, so if the business continues to be like this, for certain amount of time, the customers or the clients who are using their services, will lose confidence, right? So then they may not give more business. So it is a way of thinking bad about it, right? So how can we probably look at ensuring that this can be avoided, right? You can start looking at resilient cybersecurity frameworks. There are a lot of frameworks that are available, okay, which will provide a lot of guidelines and best practices to ensure that how you can build your infrastructure, to ensure that, and how you can build your network security, your firewalls, and your entire security system, so that you can avoid these kind of attacks that are coming in. And those will help us. I wouldn't say that you can completely stop it, but I would say that they will definitely will go ahead and then avoid such kind of attacks. Of course, every day is a new day. Every day the threat actors or bad people are getting more digitally advanced, and organizations also have to follow the same path and keep on updating their infrastructure digitally to ensure that they become more and more secure over there. Okay, so this is more of regulations and other things. I did talk about GDPR, which is again something related with data. I mean, coming in from the European region. Okay, so what do we have to do, in case if you are dealing with the European residents' data? So these are the regulations that come in with that. HIPAA is more like health-related transactions, electronic transactions. How do you deal with that? Because if I look at PII as one of the most sensitive data, personally identifiable information, there is something called as PHI. PHI is nothing but personal health information. Again, I would say that which is more sensitive, it could be PIR or PHI. If you look at US as a region, right? United States as a region, they would consider PHI as more sensitive compared to PII, because your health information is not supposed to be going into the hands of the bad people, right? So that is something wherein this HIPAA came into picture in the year 2000 plus, wherein every company which is a health provider, which is an insurance company, because everything runs on insurance nowadays, and the company which will deal with insurance and healthcare providers will have to upgrade their systems to ensure that every transaction becomes electronic. Okay, that's what is HIPAA is all about. CCPA is another one, from the California state, again, looking at the residents' interest. And DORA is something which has come up very, very new, again, from the standpoint of durability and other things. And recently we had the DPDP from India, data privacy related regulation that came in. They are bringing a lot of data protection practices with very, very stringent guidelines. Okay, so if you follow them stringently and very honestly, right, so you could probably avoid ensuring that your business is secure and continues to ensure that the data privacy is maintained and so on and so forth, right? Again, uh, I mean, again, coming back to the startups over here, because startups, are very, very aggressive because they have very limited funding, less time, and they need to go to market and so on and so forth. They probably will not have time and energy and fund to look at these things, right? So they might knowingly or unknowingly avoid uh, using these regulations and so on and so forth. That is where the problem comes in. May not come in on day one, day two, or definitely when the business picks up. Okay, so it'll again come into the hands of these bad people, and threat actors will end up going for it. Okay, so the last one is cybersecurity also increases the investor confidence, right? I did give an example at the beginning of the session wherein I said that the customers which are or who are giving business to the service providers will ask for certain cybersecurity certifications, so on and so forth. So you showcase to the customer that I'm secure enough. I take care of this data very very securely. I'm following all these standards. I'm following these regulation and so on and so forth. There is higher chance of these investors or the customers, okay, providing or giving you business and even funding your startup with the fund, so that they know that the startup can have a better way of securing my data. So it will not get into a problem of any cyber attack, and then it will go out of business or something. Okay, so having said that, again, I think we also did talk about some of the challenges, but we will look at what could be the challenges in cybersecurity, especially in the startup kind of scenario. Okay, so limited resource, I just talked about this one. Okay, so they do get funding, and some of them always have crunch in funding. Okay, so they end up looking at security as a secondary aspect. Okay, and then they'll not be probably looking at it when they're kind of building their product and so on and so forth. It could be because of the budget, it could be because of the aggressiveness, it could be because of awareness, it could be lack of mentors from the startup ecosystem who would not probably be able to guide them from the security standpoint. It could be many reasons, or having limited resources with which they may not be able to take up the required cybersecurity infrastructure development. Okay, rapid scalability. Again, I did talk about it. Startups are very, very aggressive in nature because they need to look at um, time to market as one of the major thing. I want um, the product to be thought about it today, to be built tomorrow, and day after tomorrow it should be into the market, right? I mean, just to give an example, I mean, not to say that this is anything related with uh, with cybersecurity as an issue. How many of you know about Zepto? Okay, Zepto is another startup which started about a year or 2 years before by two Stanford dropout Indians. Okay, so their main aim is to give grocery within 10 minutes or 7 minutes or 6 minutes, whatever it is, based on how far are you, from a Zepto office or something, right? So they are so much, I mean, because, if I order something, if I don't get it within 10 minutes, I'm expected to ask a question back to him saying that, you said you're going to give it to me in 10 minutes and you've taken 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Same thing happens with your Swiggy and Zomato and so on and so forth, right? So with that pressure, okay, so there are a lot of chances that some of the required and stringent security requirements are overlooked at, right? So they may not follow certain things then that they should have followed, looking at the security. If I look at from the infrastructure standpoint, okay, so people can overlook, or the startup entrepreneurs can overlook things like patching, which would require probably updates and so on and so forth. They may not have time for that. Configuration settings, so, especially in the cloud-based platforms, if you do a wrong configuration, there are chances that you're opening a side door, for the bad actor to come in and then do whatever he wants, right? Hardening is nothing but keeping your system up to date with antiviruses, patches, and cleaning up unwanted software and so on and so forth. This could be overlooked, because of the aggressiveness that these startups are looking at. Sophisticated threats, a lot of cyber attacks have become very, very sophisticated. Okay, so you need to keep every eye open, to look at different angles, to look at how my systems can be attacked, or can become a reason for a threat or something. So you should keep looking at IoT devices, cloud platforms that I spoke about. Especially it happens because of lack of configurations and so on and so forth. And nowadays, the new one that is coming up is the supply chain attacks, right? So, if, for example, third-party vendors, I would be taking services from a third party for certain things, okay, and that third party might be taking services from another one, okay, to get details and so on and so forth. So that is what is called a supply chain attack. So they induce, um, you know, I mean, the threat actors will go ahead and induce a vulnerability, okay, at some point of at some point within that supply chain, and it gets into the large organization as a vulnerability, and through which supply chain attacks can happen, right? Okay, this is most important. Lack of awareness, very very simple to deal with, to talk about, but this is the most important because I see it day in day out in my organization. Lot of these things, and I would say that if there is an incident that happens when we investigate, I would say 80 to 85% of them become because of awareness issues. Okay, so that is somewhere something that the startup entrepreneurs should look into. They need to keep themselves updated or up to date with the security needs, and they will have to have their people or employees updated with awareness sessions on security, the importance of data privacy, and so on and so forth, and which is called as cyber hygiene, if I could talk about it. Okay, so if you don't have that, it could end up being a large cyber incident, right? So the same things can be converted into a best practices, set of best practices. If I look at it, again, these are some of them, which are probably be looked at. Okay, so security by design, this applies more in an IT industry. It could also apply in other manufacturing industries as well. Security by design is you don't get into a product development, and you don't jump into a product development, going into a manufacturing machine or something. You need to design that. Okay, so nobody probably looks at design phase as wherein you need to embed security also, or security measures or security requirements as part of your design, right? So in a typical IT world, this is called as a shift left. Okay, so instead of bringing in security at the later part of your entire SDLC, which is software development lifecycle, you shift left so that your security can start looking at it at the phase of design itself. Okay, so that is something that you could bring in, which will definitely yield a lot of great results to ensure that your product or your your code becomes more and more secure, right? Leverage of emerging technologies, you can definitely make use of AI and machine learnings, okay, to find out the threats in real time, the threats or the vulnerabilities within your code. Okay, so nowadays, I think these luxury cars, okay, you don't really, I mean, if it has a problem, and they have certain IoT that is installed within those cars, wherein the moment a component starts giving a problem, the person sitting at the manufacturing end, and if it is a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz type of cars, the person sitting on the other side would come to know that, okay, there's a problem in this car at this component level. Okay, that's an important of implementing emerging technologies, and it could have been more updated with invention of AI and machine learning kind of tools. And you can definitely do it faster with the usage of these emerging technologies, right? You can also do blockchain kind of technologies to do much secure data transactions, wherein your data is not visible to the threat actors at all. Okay, so that's another kind of technology that you can definitely choose in. Okay, so again, we did talk about the regulations. You need to definitely take them very seriously. Every product or every project has to be periodically assessed, for risks and vulnerabilities, probably once in a year or something. There is something called as a pen testing, that is called as a penetration testing in the world of cybersecurity. This is typically done on applications which are um, open to the internet, because when you open to the internet, there could be anybody who can see your portal or your application. So you need to do a pen testing to ensure that, or to come to know that whether your application has got any vulnerabilities or any loopholes or any gaps through which somebody can get into your system, right? So that is what pen testing talks about. Implement zero trust security. This is a very, very new thing, within the world of cybersecurity. This is nothing but you don't trust anybody. Okay, so it includes everybody. I mean, just to give an example, in a company, just because somebody is a vice president or a CEO or something, it does mean that that person should get every kind of accesses, which is wrong, right? So everything runs with a zero trust security concept, wherein you will go ahead and provide access to systems, applications, and so on and so forth to a person, okay, who requires that, right? So I mean, just because of a certain person who is at a higher grade um, should get access to every system on the product line or something, which is completely wrong. Okay, so you have no trust in anybody. The access will be given only on need basis, and if you don't need that access by end of day tomorrow, that access will be revoked by end of the day tomorrow. You need to request for that again, right? Again, we did talk about multi-factor authentication, wherein you will use two or three or four methods to get into that application with things like authenticators or OTP or something of that sort, sending your OTP to your email, to your phone number, and so on and so forth. Laws and regulations need to be implemented and practiced, and I've given some of these examples here. Collaborate with experts, right? So a lot of these cybersecurity organizations which come with a tool which with a lot of regulation related knowledge, which will come with you with capabilities of auditing and assessment, which could do a pen testing for you, and so on and so forth. A lot of government bodies which have also come up, which will help you do that. Okay, so you become part of that, and they will leverage, or you can go ahead and leverage the government bodies to get certain things on the cybersecurity front, right? So most importantly, you need to have a person who should be dedicated to look at security as one of the major resources. In larger companies, this role is called as the CISO, cyber security, sorry, chief information security officer or something, right? Where the cyber culture, and again, this has something to do with awareness and so on and so forth. Your knowledge of cyber security, you need to ensure that. For example, if you look at the first line, right? So secure coding practices have to be taught and made sure that developers in an IT organizations follow that. Okay, a lot of training programs, again and again, you should go back to them again and again whenever you see certain things. Phishing is one more thing wherein I did talk about a call that you get, wherein a guy talks about your insurance. That is nothing but a phishing call, right? So you need to ensure that people or the employees are aware of type of phishing techniques and how to deal with them, right? So a lot of people do want to get into employees to gain access into the organization systems. So those things have to be taken care of. Tabletop exercises are nothing but you do a simulation of a ransomware or a kind of cyber attack that could happen, just to see how well the organization is prepared to deal with such kind of attacks or something. They're called as tabletop exercises. Okay, conclusion. Okay, so I mean to conclude, the creating sustainable and smart infrastructure, right? Especially for a startup kind of ecosystem or startup kind of entrepreneurial, thought, is just not deploying your infrastructure, your technologies, okay, your other structures, having a lot of employees work on that, but it is definitely looking at from the security standpoint. One major incident can wipe off your entire industry, or sorry, entire business itself. So it could be that dangerous, right? So cybersecurity is a major area, for these kind of processes, which will ensure that your assets are, protected, especially the digital assets. Okay, data and reputation will also start looking into it, right? Say for example, if there is a company which gets attacked by cyber attacks multiple times, right? So then the reputation of that company will go down, and people will not start investing into those companies, including the angel investor and so on and so forth, right? So you need to start looking at every factor. You need to look at sustainability. You need to look at building the infrastructure. Okay, so digital technologies, right? So every ecosystem that was listed in the previous slide, for with which you could want to, or you want to start your startup, should also look into cybersecurity as one of the major priority for every startup culture over there. Because none of the startups nowadays are going away from the digital area. So every startup has to use digital as one of them. When you talk about digital, you need to talk about cybersecurity and security at all. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much, for hearing from me for such a long time. I thought I would finish it within about 60 minutes or something, but I think it went beyond that. I am currently open for questions now.
So, Vadiraj, that was really commendable, and I was been following you from last 60 plus 20. That means almost like more than 80 minutes, I would say. So it was wonderful. In the interest of time, I'll be reading out the questions for you, and being based on your convenience and comfortable, you can answer those questions, Vadiraj. I hope that is. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you were breaking for some times. Now I'm
Okay. All right. So
okay.
I will be reading out questions for you. In the interest of time, I will not be calling out the participants, but
Okay.
to ensure that we have enough quorum to understand. So you were briefing about some of the key cybersecurity challenges, right, Vadiraj? So any one or two which you want to really emphasize, which has been faced by these startups when they adopt the smart infrastructure, and how can they address them effectively?
Okay. So most of these startups, would start with a kind of digital infrastructure, because be it any business for that matter, right? So it could be an IT industry, it could be it could be an IT company itself, providing IT solutions or something. So they would want to go for these digital infrastructure, be it a set of servers and so on and so forth. If they are kind of building their own infrastructure, making use of the available infrastructure from the market, right? So many of them would look into buying less expensive infrastructure, um, you know pointers, because they don't want to spend money, because these less expensive infrastructure comes with security flaws. So it could be, I can give a very raw example of buying a set of computers from a local market, okay, which probably would not have antivirus installed. It could not get patches updated every now and then, and it may not even have the softwares that are supposed to be bought from a company, but it might have a softwares that are again installed from a gray market or something. So these are some of the things that they should look into, see the investment that they can do if they have to ensure that it lasts longer. So they need to ensure that the infrastructure that they're going to build probably has to be in a long run. I also would like to give another example. So if you're um, starting a startup, with infrastructure in mind, and in a company wherein I can give a very simple example of having a physical security, right? If you don't have physical security factors, like you can get into a office without your uh, badge swiping, and there is no security sitting there, there are no cameras, CCTV cameras, and so on and so forth. You may want to save money on that, but at the end of the day, if some of these things are stolen, okay, so you are not only losing your infrastructure, but you are losing data, which is of utmost importance. And if you lose customer data, okay, the PII data that I was talking about, or the financial transactions along with your physical devices, that is going to cost a lot to you. So these are some of the examples that I can talk about or think about from the startup standpoint.
Sure. As we were mentioning about the investment part, the immediate question which is coming to my mind, and definitely I'm really curious to understand how any startup can balance the need of for the robust cybersecurity measures when they are in the limited budget and the resources, because not everybody will have enough budget is in the at the beginning of their businesses. So then how can they limit, but at the same time, they can make advantage of the cybersecurity measures.
Yeah, I mean, the cybersecurity regulations, if I can talk about certain standards like, ISO 27001, which is about information security management system. Okay. And there are a few more that talk about data privacy. Nowadays, we have standards on AI and, so on and so forth, right? So these are some of these things which would give you a set of guidelines how you can bring in the controls, right? So, I mean, they can do a quick analysis of these controls which are required, right? Say, for example, if you are dealing with a very raw data which is not at all sensitive to anybody, right? For that matter, there is no point in bringing in controls related to data privacy. Okay, so it could be it could be expensive in nature, right? So, say for example, if you want to go in for a pooled, I mean, I was talking about the co-working solutions, right? So they can probably get started in a co-working solution which will have a common set of physical security features. Say, for example, there is one security guy sitting at the at the at the beginning of that building or the front of the building. Okay, you don't have to go and invest, for that security. There are common CCTVs, there are common swiping machines, and so on and so forth, right? So these are some of the things, wherein they can look at, where I can spend less, okay, on the security and then still make a impact on my product and so on and so forth. But when we look at from the digital infrastructure perspective, that is having um, a set of digital devices, say for example, your laptop, a set of servers, and so on and so forth, I don't think there is no looking back on that, right? So there are again a lot of cloud service providers, which would, for example, if I can talk about some of the top cloud service providers like AWS, Azure, which are from Google, Microsoft, and so on and so forth. They might be expensive, but they will give you 100% secure related services. But you could go for a small cloud service provider at a corner of your street or something, right? He will say that I can get you things done in half of the price. Okay, but if you start looking at what kind of security that he's providing for the services that he's giving, it might be nil, right? So there are certain areas that you can definitely not, do not want to compromise on, but there are certain other areas wherein you can analyze and see how you can best utilize, not spending too much at this point of time, okay, and but still come out with a good products. At the same time, if I can talk about that, Dr. Pankaj, you can sell this. Okay, when you take funding from the funding organizations, everybody has become very smart. So if I'm putting in, say, $100,000 or 100,000 rupees into this startup, okay, so what is my interest as a funding person? So I want this business to go up, correct? And I want the data to be not lost. I don't want the cyber attacks to be happening on the startup and so on and so forth, right? I don't want people to be stealing data out of your startup and so on and so forth. So as a startup venture person or a startup entrepreneur, you should be in a position to go ahead and sell security, okay, as part of your product, and get better funding, right? So that's with a entrepreneur that who will be able to look at that. I hope I answered this question.
Yes, yes, very well, and very well said, Vadiraj. So this is my last question for you, and I'm sure we'll make more of the advantage of this. You did mention about some of the government regulations and policies. So, so these policies, what kind of role they play when we have to ensure the cybersecurity of smart startups ecosystems? Because looking into the Indian policies, do you think that these are sufficient?
Yeah, it's a cat and mouse race, Dr. Pankaj. So sometimes, or I would say, most of the times, unfortunately, the attackers are ahead of us. Okay, so because we wouldn't we wouldn't think bad. Okay, so they would think bad, and then we would start looking at what kind of vulnerabilities or attacks that they are thinking, and then based on which we will be thinking about solutions. Okay, and standards and regulations come at a very, very later stage. If you look at the DPDP, it should have come in, say, about 15 years back in India, right? But I mean, there's something that we cannot talk about wherein the standards are coming in. But there are some organizations which will come in very fast. Okay, but the the old school of thoughts will also be played very well here. So, for example, just to ensure that the data does not get hacked from my computer, you keep your system completely patched at any given point of time. Okay, you should have your encryption enabled on your system so that nobody steals data out of it. You should have your updated antiviruses, right? So these are some 3 or 4 things that you keep on saying, okay, or keep on ensuring that these are taken care of, right? This is true, or this was true about 15 years back. This is true even now, and this is true even probably 10 years down the line. Maybe 1 or 2 more controls might have been added, because I can't keep waiting for the regulators to come out with set of regulations and controls, and then I will follow it. By the time I would have already lost my business, right? So you need to stick to basics. Okay, there are some basic hygiene factors. Okay, I did talk about it that in the organization that I work, 80% of security incidents happen, or more than 80% of security incidents happen because of insider threat. Insider threat is nothing but an employee doing a mistake. Okay, and out of those 80%, another 80% out of that is because he's not aware of that, right? And where is the gap that is coming in? So he needs to be made aware of that, right? So he needs to be aware of the fact that you need to follow secure coding. Okay, you should not upload your sensitive data onto the open internet like Google Drive, or send out data out of your corporate network into Gmail, Hotmail, or something. So this was there about 15 years back also, 10 years back also, right? So these are all basic and very, very hygiene, and we falter on not following these basic hygiene factors. Okay, regulations come in later. Okay, so the things that we are looking at from controls point of view, say for example, if I look at ISO 27000, which is most popular, okay, all that day, everything is built on these hygiene set of controls, which is at a platform. Okay, they'll say that you have to have a CCTV. We knew about it about 20 years back, or I would have thought about it not even following this control, right? I need to know who is coming into my house and picking up a stuff. What do I have to do that? I need to monitor it. So to monitor that, I need to have a CCTV. I don't need an organization to come back and tell me that, okay, you need to go ahead and put up a CCTV. So these are like very basic factors, okay, so that you need to follow, and probably you don't really need to be behind these regulations and standards and so on and so forth. But end of the day, you need to follow them, because these are required to be followed, and they will definitely have better way of controlling your data and so on and so forth. And most of the times, you need to follow the government requirements. Okay.
Sure. Yes, that is insightful, Vadiraj. So thank you so much. So, with great pleasure, on behalf of management of St. Francis College and all the participants who are available, you can see almost more than 200 participants are participating today to hear you out. I really extend my heartfelt and our gratitude to you, Vadiraj, for your insightful and engaging presentation on creating sustainable and smart infrastructure for startup ecosystem, and definitely have given a lot of perspective towards the cybersecurity. So we have no doubt on the expertise what you carry with you and the ability to break down the complex topics which we have been discussing. And the session was not only highlighted the critical role of cybersecurity in modern ecosystem, but also inspired us to think innovatively, but building sustainable and secure infrastructure. So we deeply appreciate the time and effort you have taken to share your knowledge and experience with us. Your contribution have undoubtedly added immense value to this ATAL faculty development program and leaving us with fresh perspectives and ideas to explore. So thank you once again for being a part of this program and for making this session a memorable and impactful one. Thank you so much, Vadiraj, and over to you, Prabha ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Vadiraj, will you have to be online?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I believe they will be taking the snapshot
Okay.
for you to be online. I believe Prabha ma'am will be doing the needful. Prabha ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Just a second. I'll do that. Yes. Thank you so much. It's done.
Thank you.
Prabha ma'am, we are good to go,
Ma'am,
or yes?
do we start the next session?
Yes, we will take up some more reflections maybe towards the end of today's last session, all the participants. So kindly ensure that you are filling up the feedback forms. And I'll be doing certain announcements towards the end, so kindly be online. Vadiraj, we will be more than happy to have you online with us. Definitely. If you feel like leaving the session, you can do that.
So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vadi. Ma'am, we can move.
Yeah, ma'am, sure. Moving on to our next session for the evening on challenges and opportunities for startups in smart logistics. I would like to invite Professor Sabita to introduce our next speaker. Over to you, ma'am.
Dr. Vanishree Ramakrishna, a distinguished academic and researcher, serves as the Dean of Research and Consultancy at Surana Educational Institution. She holds a PhD in Commerce, specializing in pension schemes for unorganized sectors, and has domain expertise in financial management, accounting, investment management, and strategic financial planning. A seasoned trainer and resource person, she is skilled in areas like project finance, healthcare costing, and financial literacy. With multiple accolades, including Best Teacher and Researcher awards, Dr. Vanishree is passionate about nurturing young minds and fostering innovation in academia and industry. Her passion for research and teaching, combined with her commitment to nurturing innovation, makes her an ideal speaker for our discussion on challenges and opportunities for startups in smart logistics. Let us warmly welcome her to this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Ma'am, thank you so much. And Dr. Pankaj, thank you so much for giving an opportunity to address a bigger forum on how do the challenges and the opportunities we can look forward for the logistics, startup in logistics. I'm sure the participants were hearing more about the technicalities of the cybersecurity and all. So I would go through the how do logistics as a startup and how do smart city will get connected to that. Ma'am, can I share my slides or somebody is there to share my slide? Can I share? Have you made me as a
Yes,
host?
ma'am. I would
Yes,
request kindly share from your end. I hope Prabha ma'am and Sabita ma'am, the access is given to
Ma'am.
Vani ma'am.
yes, ma'am. Already given,
Yes.
ma'am. We can do that.
Hope my slides are
Yes,
visible.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can see.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. To the audience over here, I want to tell you a little more that I would give you more of a research perspective and also bring in the industry perspective, what's happening around the world. The flow of the this session would be on understanding what actually is all about the logistics, urban logistics is all about. How do your technologies are getting integrated? And why do we are looking up smart cities as an important forte or important mission where the central government has also taken a lot of initiatives and a lot of funds has been given away for all these developments. I'm sure in these 4 days of FDP, which has been organized, have given you a lot of insights about what is the smart city is all about. How do we take care of technology? How do we take care of the health? How do we take care of the lot of upcoming things? So my focus of the presentation or the session would be more on what is the positioning of India and also looking up how do other countries are giving you the perspective of this logistics in startups, and also what is smart logistics is all about, where we are going to look at and what are the basic challenges, okay, apart from cybersecurity, apart from my other risk and compliances management, which has to be taken care. So how do I ensure that my customer end delivery is taken care well? So with this note, I would like to take up the first important agenda of India being on 2030. The agenda, what we have already set, is basically on sustainable developmental goal. Okay, we all are well aware that okay, there are 17 goals which we are running around, and ensuring that these goals are at least reached to an extent, okay, and where we have inclusivity, okay, because India being a very dynamic country and one of the highest densely populated country in the world now, how do we bring the inclusivity and ensuring that every single person is given the opportunity of equitable services or equitable goods which is required, and also taking a lot of safety, not only in terms of cyber security or not only in terms of the safety of the infrastructure, but also the safety of the humans, because you have different categories of people, different genders of people, okay, which has to be catered, and also be very resilient to a lot of dynamics which is happening around the world, and ensuring that you're prioritizing your activity and ensuring we are reaching the last mile. And also, how do we have a sustainable communities, okay, because this is something which is going around the world now. How do I make the processes, systems, okay, or the procedure more sustainable so that it can take up the mileages in a very long terms, and also settlements which has to be taken care. So we have seen the growth of urbanization, okay. My more focus will be on the urbanization. We are all aware that, okay, 110 or 100 to 110 cities have been announced as the smart cities, okay, in India, and each one is getting around 48,000 crores, okay, for next 5 years, okay, whatever the 5 years we have planned it up. And in this 100 crores, okay, of investment per city per year is the plan. If I want to give you a small statistics, what's happening in Karnataka, basically, we are looking up seven major, okay, cities which will be of the category of smart city. So one priority will be on Mangalore, Davangere, Tumkur, and also we have Bangalore. So each these seven cities, okay, will be having an investment of 100 crores from the central government, and also they're looking out for the equal investment from the states. So like this, there are 110 smart cities which has been identified, and we are looking up lot more, okay, urbanization, so which is something around, if you see the statistics which I have taken from one of the papers, okay, which is around 483 million individuals which we have already captured. And most of the cities has been overpopulated, and getting them a proper infrastructure, ensuring the safety at every point of time, delivery point of the goods, a lot of things have to be taken care. And by 2035, the number is going to be touching around 43%. So this number is going on increasing. How do we ensure the things which has to be served to the citizens of this country or citizens of these places are taken care, okay, in a proper manner with the backup with the technology? So there is a very much requirement of a proper strategical planning and the development of Indian cities, not only by the center, but also at the local levels, what we call as the localization of the entire policy, which has to be looked in. And also, lot of urban centers, okay, will start playing a very important role in this growth trajectory. So what we are looking at 2025 as of now, which we are going to enter, which will get multiplied in three folds in next 10 years. So how do we sustain the entire process is something which is a talk. When I was going through one of the papers, one of the reports of World Economic Forum on cities and urbanization, uh, they have identified what are the key themes and issues, okay, the smart city, which have to be probably working out. I have given you this table, okay, so that it is more clear what is that what themes we have been looking up, and also what issues the government or the private bodies, okay, have to look into the things. So one among them, like if I start looking up, like we have a governance as a theme, okay, we have 5 themes like governance and policies. Then we have a society, infrastructure, environment, and business economy. As a issues, like if I get into the governance and the policy planning, which has to be taken up, including the policy advocacies, which has to go from different nook and corners by the expertise and the committees. So one priority is on urban planning. How do we ensure the cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, Ahmedabad, which is like flooding like anything, even Hyderabad, okay? How do we ensure, okay, there is a proper infrastructure, physical infrastructure is available in terms of water, in terms of your houses, in terms of roads, in terms of the financial intermediaries which are required. It could be your requisite basic requirements of the people. Everything have to be served, okay? So that urban planning requires a lot of governance and policy, and also funding which is required for the infrastructure development, both physical and the technology part of it. Second one we have it up is the city operations and finances, which I already said it. It is very difficult, okay, the amount of money what we have to shell out, okay, and who is going to fund this? This is also one of the biggest question. Now, if I have to attract more industries or more companies to come into my particular city, you should probably look into more good infrastructure facility in terms of everything. But if the government doesn't take into this, or the private parties are not joining hands with this, there'll be little bit, okay, hitch in the entire focus, okay? So there is a lot of work which is going on, and also how do we involve the different stakeholders, okay? There is your citizens. Coming down to the society, I'll run through quickly, okay? Like public safety and security, very important, okay? Can I work till 12 o'clock? Because we know that, okay, a city like Bangalore or city like Mumbai is not becoming like a city, okay, where 24/7 we work, okay? So there are shifts, where there are a lot of work which is involved, if there is in the morning or in the late nights, okay? How do we ensure that the public transportation or the safety of the women's are taken care of, the securities in terms of how do we ensure that there is no problem, okay? All these stuff would be a part of the society, and health provisions of this. And also looking up, okay, how do we give the education equality and including the social inclusion, and also demographical changes. We are looking up the third theme, which is like infrastructure. I'm sure all of us, okay, from last 4 days would have been touched one or the other way on these segments, okay? My work today would be more in terms of the mobility and transportation, where the logistics comes into picture, and the environmental. So when we talk about logistic, we also ensure that sustainable environment is built. So how do I ensure that my carbon footprints comes down in the way of development of urbans, and ensuring the customers satisfaction is taken care. So you can look up, we have components like biodiversity or protection and urban resilience and all, which has to be taken care. And we all are in terms of climate change, okay? So everyone have their own bigger role to play it up, okay? Whether as a country, as an individual, as an organization, we have a bigger role to play. And what do we have a say over this? How do we do that, okay? That's where your sustainability comes into picture. Next, also we have like, how do my businesses and economy gets developed, okay? How do we have urban business environments, which is very, very different than the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, okay, which is coming forward. And we also are looking up how do private investments we can attract it, so that lot of investments start flooding into the system, and you are sufficient enough to take it forward the further. And also development of competitive economy, very, very important. So I was just looking up like the largest bridge which was constructed in China, okay, which is around 1,64,000 kilometers, okay, between which has everything in that particular bridge, and which is also sustainable, which is also has a lot of proof of document testing has been done on that. So that means, okay, when we are developing urban scaling, okay, it's also important how do we build the infrastructure and ensure that the smoothing process happens in every level, and also ensuring the green growth is also taken care. Netherlands is one of the best example, if I want to quote it up, where it is one among the cities, okay, where it has taken the green way along with its development, okay. Most of them, okay, use cycling, and lot of things has been done to ensure the carbon footprints comes down, okay. And moving on to the next topic which I would be discussing, I would also request if there is some queries, you can stop me and you can go ahead. Or if you want to ask few questions, I would in the last, okay, probably I'll also take it up within a given period of time. So I would be moving on to the very specific on urban logistics. Okay, so what is now urban logistics is all about. Okay, so where basically we look up how do the smart city, okay, which is basically we are looking up. These cities which are ICT enabled, okay, that is your information and communication technology enabled, and ensures the operational efficiency and effectiveness, okay, is something which we are looking at. And also, how do the three components of smart city gets integrated, like your technology to your infrastructure to your urban planning. So basically for logistics startups, okay, if I'm going to give you in next 2025, okay, we have big numbers to come across the world, okay, around 20 to 25 companies which are working on the logistics startups only, okay, where the automation of routes, your real-time tracking, all those stuff are integrated to ensure that end-to-end customers' requirements are taken care, okay, including the reverse refunding which has to happen, or reverse process of things which has to happen up, okay, and also presenting a lot of innovations which can be brought in up, because the end game is that, okay, how much your customers, okay, or the end person is satisfied with your delivery management, okay, how quick I can do it up, okay, so that my competition is taken care. I was like, if you look up the cases of Amazon, how it works out, okay, or DLH works out the entire process, okay, it is the speed of your delivery mechanism, and also augmenting the understandability of what the person is required. If you go through it, okay, especially Amazon, if I take it as an example, they would know if I'm a person of a particular place, they will track my entire history, understand, okay, what sort of requirement I can get it in next 2 days or next 1 week. Okay, now take an example. If it is a Diwali season, so if it is a Christmas season, it is a New Year season, and what sort of purchasing pattern I have it up in last 6 months, the data will be captured, and then it will get percolated into the data management, okay, which gets automated, and understand what sort of products, okay, maybe probably which will get been asked, okay, and then they will also stock it up. Now how quick, I'm sure no other, okay, platforms, okay, e-commerce platforms can deliver the speed of the Amazon, because they have understood the customer's behavior, customer purchasing pattern, and also they have a quick warehouses where they have a delivery mechanism, okay, and they have understood what sort of purchasing work, okay, you will take it up. That means the end-to-end data, purchase pattern, and the consumer behavior pattern of a person are well understood by these people. That means there are a lot of psychological data are getting penetrated into this system before they get into the delivery mechanism. So these are the innovative things, okay, and also the multifold of Amazon. If you see that year on year, okay, the warehouse has been completely robotic now, okay, very less human interventions, because the speed they have to match it up. So they have more of the robotics which are getting into the streamlining and also helping them out in a very large way. The very big challenge is the data privacy. What the earlier speaker also said, there are a lot more data, okay, where either through my WhatsApp, either through my Instagram, either through my emails, okay, gets penetrated into the things, okay, into your systems of organization. And privacy is always a big challenge. Data privacy is becoming a big challenge for every urban or every person who's living around the world, okay. So now in urban logistics, basically we focus on how do we optimize the logistics and distribution of goods and services within the urban areas. That is, if I have some requirements, okay, how do I fulfill those requirements within a shorter period of time? Now, if I give you an example, if I have a diabetic patient or any patient at my home, and I require an immediate medical drug, okay, I probably, if I give you an example, like it is around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the midnight, and there is an immediate requirement of certain drugs to my family person. Now, from where do I get delivered this? Is there any backup where I can just immediately order and within few hours or few minutes the product gets delivered? So there where the drone system of delivering mechanisms is happening around. Okay, I do understand. Okay, in India we are far behind of a lot of things, but this will also become a reality now in the future. Okay, so it could be a drone, okay, which could help you out, or it is the speed of your entire mobility, okay, will be taken care. So more of urban logistics is how do I optimize my distribution channel? Okay, so when I look up logistics to supply chain management is more of connecting the producer to the end customer. How do you channelize it? And logistic, how do you arrange, how do you bridge these gaps, okay, and ensure that customers are well taken, okay, at the given point of time, because of there are a lot of competitions, okay, among the people who want to deliver your given product. Okay, if you're not there, somebody else will get me on time. Okay, that's how we have seen Swiggy and Zomato, which is the competitors, okay, a very high tough competitors in the market. Like, so what is that? Okay, speed, you can match it and ensuring your customers are taken care. And also to reduce the environmental impact and urban congestions, okay, we have seen the amount of the carbon emissions which happens are because of a lot of fuel consumptions and a lot of infrastructure development, which is killing, okay, probably like mitigating the entire biodiversity is something which is also very, very questions, okay, which we have to ask whether we are looking up urbanization and giving away the lives of the people. Okay, how many of the biodiversity is getting disturbed year on year, and how do the things are moving in a very negative manner just because we want to be on a very higher side. Okay, so these are few things which we have to take into consideration when we are looking at the logistics part or urban logistics parts. Okay, so this includes a delivery vehicle, what sort of vehicle you are going to use it up. Now, most of the countries have preferred to have an electric vehicle as against your fuel vehicles, okay, because of the carbon emission which happens up, okay, and also the route planning, that is where and all. We also have in operations management, okay, like we do something known as critical path method and PERT, okay, that is where we identify what could be the probable highest route which I can test up within a shorter period of time. Okay, so operational difficulties of reaching one place to another place, okay, is something which I can do it up with the real-time tracking of the GPS, okay, with the route planning. And also, how do we take care of the warehouses? Very important is today we have a smart warehouses and smart inventory management systems, which will probably help me out to a larger extent understanding how do the products are compartmentalized and we give it to the customers on demand whenever it is on the pace. Okay, so these are the few things which will be included in the urban logistics. Okay, so when you look up the logistics part of 2025, this industry is emerging like anything. A lot of players have got into on toes to work on this. Okay, how do the customer delivery happens? Okay, because we have never imagined, okay, the Swiggy and Zomato can take up 35,000 revenues, okay, which is humongous just by delivering the things from one place to another. Okay, if you see the revenue chart and the profit charts of these companies are doubling up like anything. Okay, and also we are looking up how do the new thought process of startups are coming up to connect not only the urban but the urban to rural places, or tier 1 to tier 2, tier 2 to tier 3, and also focusing on other city development also, because the cities which were earlier, which is already dense and already overpopulated, can I segregate it? That's how in Karnataka, like if you look up, we have a beyond Bengaluru concept, okay, where a lot of government initiative and also private initiatives have been taken up in a partnership, public-private partnership. They're looking up, can I think beyond Bangalore? Okay, if there is any particular development which I can look up and also make those particular cities as a major cities to or hubs to get developed. Otherwise, one particular city, like Hyderabad or your Mumbai, cannot take the resistance of the denseness, okay, of migrations, okay, which is happening as of now. So there is an increasing adoptions of advanced technologies. Okay, a lot of the speakers, I'm sure they would have been giving you a lot of insights on new technologies or IoT platforms, AI, deep learning, machine learning, all these platforms which have come into a very big chain, and also looking up how do I make the things of bringing up e-logistics solutions. Okay, so some of the key innovations which I could identify was like customer visibility portals, or decentralizing our order picking, route optimization, logistic data analytics. Okay, and like this, okay, you have more on greater transparency across the industries can enhance the entire operation. So there are a lot quite good startups which have been popping up in the market. Okay, not only in India, across the world. Okay, great large industries are companies are coming up to solve the problem of the logistics. So just this is the one picture or one table which I wanted to share you by 2025. Okay, this is a global logistics startups which are in the pipeline, or which has already been up in the market, but you will have a more focused one. Uh, some of them are in Germany, some of them are in North America, some of them are in the Africa, and also in India. Now, if I give you an example, we have Logibee, okay, a delivery management software, which is an Indian based. Okay, how do basically these guys are trying to do it? I'm also giving you that small example as a case. And also, One Tracker is a Guwahati startup, which will have a real time delivery tracking. Okay, a system which will help the order picking very easily, and also if there is a mismanagement, okay, which is happening up. What is this mismanagement is all about? Where we see you have ordered something and you've got delivered something else, so which shouldn't happen, because the rapport of the customer will be lost. Remember, digital spacing or digital space of e-commerce, okay, what we look up the purchases, we should be utterly careful in what they are looking up, what sort of a booking point which is happening around, and what is the delivery time, and what you have delivered, okay, to your customer, end customer. All these matters to ensure your rapport with those, okay, organization will continue. Okay, so what are the basic components? I'll just run through is like the urban logistics. Okay, last mile delivery, very very important. How good your delivery times are can be minimized, okay, within a shorter period of time. If you remember, okay, pizza delivery within whatever the minute, 10 minutes or 20 minutes concept, okay, came into very early stages. Okay, because people, we used to feel that, okay, instead of getting into pizza places, okay, let me get ordered done at home to make whatever the parties which you want to do with that. So but it should also be a hot, which you want to enjoy it up. So remember, if the delivery boy came late, okay, they were also penalized for that. Okay, so that's something, okay, which we have seen in a lot of context. So how much time do you take it up to deliver your product within the time of order to your time of delivery is something we are looking up. And also the customer satisfaction, whether the product which you have delivered doesn't get leakage, or it has not been obsolete, or it has not been having any sort of a damage. Okay, now let us imagine, okay, I have ordered something, okay, a glass ka kuch sort of a material or an object, okay, and when it was delivered to us, okay, it is already broken in pieces. Now how do I take it up? Okay, so there are a lot of things which we have to look up, the packing part of it, okay, and also how do I take care the safety of the product which has been sent. I'm sure all of us have realized that, okay, when Amazon gets getting delivered with Prime, okay, they'll give it as a Prime as a tagline. Okay, how do they deliver these products and ensure the safety of the product or the object which you're getting delivered also. Second very important component is also like warehousing. As I said, okay, where and all you will have a pockets of warehouse so that you will immediately get delivered. If it says that I will deliver you after 15 days, I will get into another platform and say that better that I will take something which is within 2 days. I'm sure whenever we do any sort of purchasing through digital platforms, okay, it will see how much time it would take it up for the delivery of the particular products. Okay, um, Third very important component is basically the inventory management in densely populated area. I'm looking up India as one of the country where you should have a real-time data tracker, because each person's requirement is very different, and what he has purchased in last 6 months, probably we have to have a thorough study and looking up what future sort of purchases that particular person would try to do with that. So data for the optimization of stock levels is very important, because you cannot say it is out of stock. Okay, so how do I maintain the inventory? So Amazon is one of the best example for this. How do they do the inventory management trackers? Okay, and also adopting sustainable transportation. Very, very important that we speak about the logistics, especially the smart logistics, what we are talking about in the few minutes. Okay, we'll be looking up how do I ensure that electric delivery vehicles, okay, or cargo bikes can be utilized instead of my fuels, okay, which has a lot of carbon emission. And also looking up the environmental sustainability, okay, and less energy consumption. Can I have a solar run bikes, okay, which will deliver the product? Okay, so all these things will be looked up, okay, when we talk about urban logistics. And also we look up the traffic management and route planning. No, we especially, okay, I live in a place like Bangalore, okay, and traffic is always a big problem. Everybody says this. That could be a really true one, because the city is not was so planned to take up the amount of migration what we have seen and the development what we are looking up. So a lot of work has to be done. So we are looking up whether the AI can help us, okay, and finding out, okay, where and all there are conjunctions in the traffic. How do I have a smooth flow? If it is a path hole, how do I recognize these things and all? Okay, so urban mobility is always a big challenge. Okay, and also providing a proper route planning. Okay, where people who want to commute from one place to another, okay, even for their offices, how fast I can reach it up within shorter period of time. So look up like logistics, which has to get transported from one place to another, the goods which has to get transported, okay, has to have this efficiency mapping done. Okay, so we are looking up a concept of livable city, okay, environment. So the two companies which I was telling you, which is Indian based, I've taken as an example, is one among them is Logibi. Okay, it's one of the Indian startup which started in the year 2020, and it's a Bangalore based startup. So major focus is on route optimization, electronic proof of delivery, and the estimated time arrival. It will also tell you what is the time of arrival. Okay, you will have it up, which is AI powered, exactly at what time that particular thing will be delivered to you. Okay, even when we take booking at porters, okay, today, you know, okay, it's a real-time tracker. I can know when did the goods was picked up, at what time the product gets delivered, at what level it is getting delivered also. Okay, and it will also help us to address resolution, that is measure one, and also give you the pictorial representation of where the place gets exactly mapped up. Okay, and you need not have to do a repeated customer call. Okay, that is, we know that there are challenges when something happens. Okay, you keep on telling yahan par aa jao, wahan par aa jao, yahan par hai. Okay, there are a lot of things, okay, moving around, so customers may feel little agitated for this. So this particular platform will help enable the entire end-to-end, okay, delivery mechanism, with helping the proper route optimization. Okay, and also it has something as multi-leg planning. Now, what is this multi-leg planning? Ye nahi hota, wo kya hai? Like, can I have alternative planning to deliver the product? And also from the place of pickup point to the place of delivery point. Okay, entire plan visualization is given as a tool in this. Okay, which will be like a route map. Okay, for if this particular place is over junctioned, okay, because of the traffic or something happened on the road, can I take the other road and ensure that, okay, the product gets delivered? Okay, I'm not only talking about the city, but intercities also. If I have to look up how do I do the transportation from one place to another, is also can be mapped very easily. So there is also something as a trip management they look up. So there is also like order verification system, which will ensure the parcels what you're going to get it is being properly packed, and also the safety of the particular product or the goods is dispatched on time, okay, without any distractions or any problem with that particular product. Okay, so this basically the LogiB is working on and successfully working on the operational visibility, like trip list, how many trips they have taken up. And it will also tell you ongoing deliveries, okay, which are there, with what time, okay, it can reach the particular place, okay, with the estimated time of arrival. So all these things are done through a electronic proof delivery, okay. So where as soon as the product gets delivered, we'll get a message that, okay, the particular product has reached to our place and it has been delivered over there. So this much of efficiency they want to capture through this particular platform, okay. And also the second case, which I want to take it up, and once again, an Indian-based startup, one on Tracker, okay, which is in Guwahati. So they would also work on the proof of delivery, route planning, and also the automated ordering process, okay. So this basically is a platform which gets schedules of delivery through individual or in batches, okay, and also diversified logistic needs, okay, what the particular place one person requires, maybe other place also requires a similar ordering. So how do I deliver different things at different point of time and within given period of time? All these, okay, checks and balances will be taken care by this particular platform. If I have 100 customers delivery today, how do I route it, okay, at different platforms, okay, and is that product has reached the particular customer is also taken care. So you have a pick orders and also drop orders, which will be captured through your photos, okay. The real-time photos will start getting uploaded so that we know that the product has been safely delivered, okay. And also we have a the real-time trackers, as I said, and also they are entrusting on the cash on delivery, like how do Amazon also can happen, okay, like how do they work? Either you do early payment or you can also take up the cash on delivery transactions, okay. And also they have resource management tools and also onboarding management fleets and the agents, okay, which will help you out to know the flow of the orders which we have taken. So few challenges which I would like to throw when we talk about the smart cities and the concept of urban logistic is we all are been facing the high traffic congestions which are there at every point of time. I'm not talking only about the peak hours, but also every point of time there's a huge complicated issues in the routes and the closure of the routes. There are a lot of encounters, okay, which we have to take it up, maintaining this heavy traffic. And we also have a problem in urban, especially the limited space house warehouses, okay, where you can stock it, okay. So what the urban cities are trying to do it up, or smart cities are trying to do it up, how do I have a micro fulfillment centers where you lock different products at different levels and take it out, okay. So it is not like one particular organization, you have a multi-locking systems, okay, which can optimize the utilization of space, because space is something which is very crucial, okay, to stock it up. And it's also about what size of product you're getting delivered from one point of to another. The third challenge is also an environment, as been I kept on telling you from the beginning that, okay, a lot of problem with the carbon emission with the vehicles and noise pollution which is around the city. I'm sure all of us, okay, we are facing that, okay, when do we have this stop off, okay, so much of things which is getting burdened, okay. Anyhow, there are good practices, okay, from other countries which we can learn it up, have basically the electric vehicle, okay, take a replacement of your fuel vehicle to the electric vehicle, and also like solar run cars or solar one bikes and all, which you can take it up, okay. So which will have a good sense of, okay, belongingness, okay. You're still doing the business, but you're not spoiling the environment or biodiversity of the given place, okay. How do we coexist among different things around the given place is very, very important. And the third challenge is like population density and the infrastructure creation, which has to be happening up. India being one of the largest country, okay, with the population what we have, it's very difficult to manage this complexity. Okay, so there are places which are very, very close knit and which has huge attraction of people and very less infrastructure which can cater to their requirements. Okay, so how do I get into the crowded places or crowded states or crowded cities and ensure that still the customer requirements are taken care? Okay, gali mein hota hai, and how do I deliver that? Okay, there's a problem of network issue. Okay, and the infrastructure, the internet. Okay, like we are all running on 4G. Okay, where the world is around 5G already. So there are a lot of complexities, okay, which we have to address, even in terms of network connectivity, the road facilities. Do we have enough warehouses to take care of the delivery mechanism? All these stuff, okay, needs a lot of visualization. And also very important, the stakeholders coordination or the collaborations. So it is not one person's job. Like last speaker, he said very clearly that let us not wait for the regulators. Okay, let us do the basic things by ourselves and then let the regulatory comes for the cybersecurity. Same to that, okay. It is let us not depend on only one stakeholder, one person or the one organization. It is all the responsibility of us. Okay, how do the local government, okay, both local government will have an equal participation. How do the business houses makes the convenience of it, and how do the citizens like us, okay, will be a part of this entire process, okay, because we are looking up the livable cities in the future so that we don't have a hassle in living or getting the things which we wanted. So what are the current strategies? Basically, the advanced delivery system, electric vehicles and drones are, I already gave an example, okay, drones are coming into a very large picture. Even by patient lifting, we are looking up the medicine lifting, especially for the emergency care, drones have been used in a large segments of the world. And also automated delivery robots. Okay, robots has been used to getting equipped to do lot of work, and so that your efficiency increases to a large extent. Okay, and also we have a traffic management technologies. Okay, GPS is something which all of us know that it will track and give you a real-time monitoring system. So I know exactly where are the traffic, what is the traffic data, where are the congestions, okay, which is happening around, and how do I avoid it? If I have only one road, should I take a longer route? Do I have other shorter routes? Lot of real-time data captures, okay, can be captured in this given space. And also, how do I bring sustainable practices involving the green logistics? Okay, that is using my renewable energy sources like solar and all, which I already discussed it. So let me make it also very clear that, okay, when we are looking up the technology, when we are looking up the urbanization, smart cities and all, the sustainable practices becomes the utmost important at every phases, and ensuring that the environmental disasters can be reduced to a very large extent. That is, even if you are looking at a very good infrastructure development, can I coexist my infrastructure with the given spaces what we have it up? Okay, because we have already seen the impact of climate change. So it is very important whenever we do an urban planning or any of this sort of work, we ensure the sustainability practices coexist with that particular thing. And also smart warehousing solutions. Okay, I have given one of the videos, maybe like in the future, if I get a time, okay, I will play it up. Otherwise, I would request the organizers to share the slides so that they can have a look on like how do Amazon smart warehouses works it. A completely an automated driven, a robotic driven AI mechanized warehouse they have brought in, so that you know exactly how many products have to be delivered within an hour and which countries they have to deliver. What is the what if, okay, there is some sort of a network issue or some sort of, okay, data privacy or some sort of technical issues happen, how do I resolve it? Everything is planned out so well. Okay, so that's where the automated storage and retrieval system happens. So there is nothing like a buck passing now. Mujhe pata nahi hai, wo pata nahi hai. So it is all centralized, and everybody has the authorized people has an access to what's happening in the given period of time with the an hourly chart, or even if I want to take it up tit by tit, okay, where and all the things have moved up. So we can capture with the given data, okay. As I said, it's more of collaboration with the stakeholders. I have already covered this particular thing. Nothing can be done by an individual. Okay, it should be a support given by every stakeholder to practice the sustainability in the urban logistics. Okay. So let me take you through what is the smart logistics is all about. Okay, now how do I integrate the technology into the logistics part? Okay, so what is the smart logistics? Okay, basically, it is the integration of your advanced technologies and the innovative strategies, okay, to connect the dots. Okay, now connecting the dots means, matlab, like from the point of pick to the point of drop. How do I ensure the efficiency, effectiveness, and also taking care the endpoint customer satisfaction, whether the way the things has been moved up, whether I'm happy. Okay, it's like this. When I get into a restaurant, okay, how good and how better the food is served within short period of time rather than waiting for a cup of coffee for an hour. Okay, so because none of us have a time, especially in urban places, we don't have a time. How do the efficiency has been taken up? Now, if I give you an example, the concept of the Zomato and Swiggy deliveries. If you see, earlier we all used to get into the restaurants and you used to have food and come back. Then Dashni sort of a thing came up. Dashni matlab where we stand and have food quickly so that we can grab something and get into the offices or the workspaces which we have to go it up. And we don't have in time to even step out. Okay, so you have so much of work, so you can order something and get it. That's where all the new platform or new startup which has come up to deliver the things. That means what I'm trying to tell you is that the smart logistics doesn't work without technology. Okay, it requires a lot of technological backup, and very innovative solutions have to be brought in. Okay, now if you see the Uber and Ola, also, like earlier it was very difficult for us to get any of this, either my autos or my three-wheelers or four-wheelers to travel from one place to another. Now we have a booking services at doorstep. Okay, I do agree there is a cost pinch, but remember that stress of, okay, taking every time, okay, a few hours of the day to just to get one auto or just to get one cab, okay, was very difficult. So now, making lives easy and more mobility is something which we are looking up. So, smart logistics or these sort of platforms always are backed up with a very high advanced sort of technologies. Okay, so where they take the leverage of Internet of Things, that is your IoTs and artificial today, though artificial intelligence or AI has got into the nerves of the supply chain and the logistics management. Okay, they can track very easily and also simulate what could be the probable sort of purchases which you're going to do it up, okay, in the next few days coming up, so that you can start where the organizations can stocking up, that sort of things. So that much of data which has been built in, and also we have tremendous amount of work which is going on behind the screens. Okay, there is big data analytics which will capture every segment of the transactions which is done by the customers. Okay, whether whatever level of customer you are, they will segment it and ensure that the products which can cater even to your future needs are done and get prepared for it. So that is the level of technology and innovation interventions are happening around the world. And also cloud computing, because a lot of data storages are required. So we also have seen that, okay, the data are getting submerged in the ocean. So we have a cloud computing, we also have submerged data, a lot of experiments which are going on. And also in terms of the blockchain, which is revolving through the cryptos and all, okay, are changing the whole way of transactions. And also we are looking up how do we do everything automated. Okay, so even without too much of interventions, okay, everything can be automated process. How do we do that? Okay, so that's where I have just given you a small link of Amazon. Okay, like how do quickly the things has been evolved in years, and how do the technology has backed up, and the robotics, okay, which has been intertwined into the even movement of your cargo from one place to another, okay, to the delivery point, how much of interventions they have taken up. Okay, that's how they are the number one leaders in the distribution channel today. Now, what are the key components of your smart logistics? So one is Internet of Things, okay, where you have a sensor and tracking machines, and also predictive maintenance. That's what I said, that it's not just about today's purchase order, but I should also foresee what is that next 1 week or next 15 days or next 1 month, this sort of cohort of people would be asking up. So that much of information can be taken up. Okay, so we are not looking up only today. Okay, we are looking up predictive analysis. Okay, I'm sure in AI there are different levels of interventions which will happen up. One of the prominent work which is going on is the predictive analysis. Lot of investments are getting into that force. Okay, including Elon Musk, understanding the customers reactions, customers future needs, and ensuring on-time delivery is something which we are looking up from the logistics, smart logistics point of view. The second very important, how do I integrate AI and machine learning, especially in demand forecasting? Like earlier kya hota tha, like all of a sudden if you get demand, you say no. If I say no today, I would have been spreading a wrong message to my customers that I am out of stock. When that word gets into the market, probably I miss out the opportunity of catering to a very large segment of the people. So it is very important to understand what sort of demand and what product has a higher demand. So in India, if I want to tell you, okay, very specifically, we have a very seasonal demand. Okay, like when in one quarter what you have, the other quarter you may not have it. The end of the year quarters, okay, will have a different sort of, okay, demand. So all these things we need to be visualized, okay, very properly. And also, how do I do a route optimization? We have spoken in length. And also how to take a automated decision making, okay, giving a correct picture for the person who is delivering the entire mechanism. The third very important component which we look up from the smart logistics is the big data analysis, that is taking an insight clue of data. So there are a lot of researchers, okay, who are working on the big data analysis and also understanding the cognitive behavior of the people or the psychological behavior of the people, understanding what makes the customer impulsive buying behavior, what we call it as, okay, even though he doesn't want to buy, but still he's made to or tempted to buy certain things because of the way it has been popped up in different platforms of digital. So and this has come in a very large way. And the fourth very important component we look up also is cloud computing. That is, how do I have a centralized data management, and also which can be scalable. Very important for any startup is that how do I scale from one level to another level? What I was there in 2024, how do I look up in 2020, 2030 and 2040? So that scalability is something which we are looking up. Okay, feasibility and scalability of your operations are very, very important. Okay, and also blockchain technologies is something which is in a very large way. Okay, how do I ensure security, transparency, and also the smart contract, okay, which can be taken up. The other one, the automation and robotics, okay, like where we have warehouse automation and last mile delivery, and also ensuring, as I said, that every component of your logistics will also look up how much sustainable practices you are being able to take it up, both in terms of green logistics and the circular economy concepts. What are the basic benefits? We have already drawn a lot of inputs from the earlier one, like it will enhance your efficiency, okay, because time is money today and time is very important. Everybody has 24 hours only in a day. How do I manage the 24 hours and ensure that everything what I want in fingertips can be delivered in time, okay, by the organization is something which we are looking at. The second very important thing is improved customer experience. So from satisfaction there is a difference between customer satisfaction and customer experience. Okay, satisfaction is something which you derive it after you consume it, but experience is the whole journey of it. Whether my platforms, whatever I'm using up, how much is user friendly, is it going to give me in the tone which I wanted, in a very simplified manner? Is it has a manual in it to run through how it processes it? Is it having a voiceover, okay, which can help me out even if I'm illiterate in the given urban city? So lot of things, okay, how do I have a customer experience, okay, makes a lot of differences, because a lot of customers has a resilience for the technology, the changes which has been happening up. But how do I ensure that it becomes a normal usage, like your smartphone? Okay, without earlier, if you go back like 10-15 years, smartphone was not so visible. Today, without a smartphone, nothing can happen up. Okay, so that is the level of things which has got into the integration of the process or integration of the ecosystem. And also increase transparency and security, it's very important. And also cost reduction. Okay, so just because I am using so many platforms, so you cannot bombard your prices, okay, and say that ye itna hai, because it is not about the delivery, it is about the product what you're trying to do it up. So value for money is something which we have to work it out very clearly. So cost reduction wherever possible. Okay, that's how the mass delivery happens up. Okay, and how do my, even though I have done a lot of capital investment, how do I ensure that can be recovered with my mass distribution channels? Okay, then we look up the scalability and feasibility, flexibility. That's what I told you, and also sustainability. One more practice which we are getting into the things. Okay, just quickly running through. What is the global trends which is happening around the world? I have taken six different components, six different regions to give where do we stand and which countries at what level as of today, okay, in smart logistics. Number one leader in the whole world is in the innovation part of logistics is the North America, that is US, okay. Their IoT sensors or their AI integration, the cloud computing, the equipment investment in terms of drones, the automated delivery system, selfless drivers, okay, vehicles which can deliver on point. All these stuff are being extensively done under the country like US. Okay, a lot of money has been shelled out on R&D, and they are able to take it up, and also very good in predictive analytics. Okay, so they know what could be the next requirement of their customers. Okay, as usual, okay, the challenges like high labor cost, okay, to design, and also regulatory hurdles in drones and all, which is getting sorted out, because you cannot use drone for everything. There are a lot more restrictions on using on flyers. Okay, so how do I ensure that the regulatory interventions and all those stuff are taken care, security of the customers are taken care and all. And also autonomous vehicle, the permissions getting into that is also, that's how you see that even Tesla is getting little difficult, the regulatory mechanisms or legal mechanism, because if something happens and if the vehicle itself starts communicating by itself, okay, what will happen? Because we have seen a problem of interoperability. That means devices start speaking by itself. If I give you an example, two smartphones starts communicating by itself and starts taking a self decision by itself. It's like machine speaking to a machine, and they come into a particular judgmental. Humans are really under very big threats. So this is some big issue which has to be really resolved. Okay, so how do I ensure that the safety of my own existence is taken care? Okay, the second country or the second region which I want to take it up is Europe. So they are also focusing on more on sustainability. They are bringing up electric vehicle and all. So they have a digital flight platforms. Okay, one is Freight Hub and the On Track streamline matching and improving the efficiency. Uh, there is also a threshold on like the regulatory support which is required, and also ensuring the clean energy and automation of the shaping of logistic practices. So it is all requires a lot of legalities, and the concerned ministries and concerned departments have to say yes, and ensuring that the safety of the citizens are taken care. Okay, and also coming to a country like a region like Africa, which is at very nascent stage. Okay, not much development. There is something known as M-Pesa, which got introduced into through the mobile technology. Now, how do I see my wallets? Okay, they also got introduced. There are studies, okay, research studies, which throws a lot of light on regions like Africa. When you introduce an M-Pesa, how do their food intake, how do their nutritional intake, how do their mobility, how do their even school dropout rates have come down to a very large extent. Okay, so but it is very long way to go to the a region like Africa. Coming down to Asia Pacific, okay, so the technology hub, China is always ahead of a lot more innovations which is being tried and tested along with Japan and South Korea. These are the brain masters of lot of these things, even though we have a lot of threat from China and all. But remember, the amount of the technology interventions, the technology backups, what the country is trying to do it up is unimaginable. Okay, uh, uh, India and Southeast Asia, we still are working on a lot of platforms. We are trying and testing ourselves, but to be very honest, okay, we are not ahead of a lot of things when we compare to other parts of Asia Pacific countries. Um, the problem is with us is like there's a huge infrastructure problem, okay, either in terms of physical infrastructure or technical infrastructure, or the cyber security is what we just heard. A lot of problems are there. There are a lot of things have to be resolved at different levels, okay, and a lot of political interventions which we could see. Okay, one state says yes, one state says, another state says no. A lot of okay jizz and jazz, okay, which is happening around. And also when we look up a region like Middle East, okay, like Dubai and Arab countries and all, so they have been investing on a lot of smartware, even though the region is very small, but they're able to do a lot of interconnectivity. They have experimented with a lot of ports, okay, like Jebel Ali port is something which they have automated completely the operations of it, okay, from the cargo lifting to the cargo delivery to the delivery point, okay, everything is automated over there. So that is where the Middle East stands, and Latin America is also still lagging up. Okay, they have to they are looking up a lot of investors and funding, and also how do we drive it up because of the big challenge of the cost which is involved in terms of capital expenditure. The limited infrastructure availability, and also a lot of regulatory barriers into slowdown of the adoptions. Okay, I also want to make it up very clear here is that, okay, until unless the regulatory bodies interventions are there at different levels, these datas or these sort of technologies will not have a higher end. And also there are a lot of components which you saw earlier has to be ensured very clearly, and then only the things can be done at a larger extent. So these are the few challenges which I have just jogged it out in implementing the smart logistics. So one is the high initial cost, whether the country is able to invest so huge amount of money onto the development of the infrastructure. Now, I just gave an example, or I gave you a fact in the beginning that India's smart city mission ka investment for 5 years is around 48,000 crores. And in this 48,000 crore, every city, that is in 110 cities, every city, every year, there is a plan of implementing or fueling up 100 crores. And where you should have an equal proportional investment from the state. So huge amount of fund is required, and how do we cater to this much of funding for the development of infrastructure? Second one, a very important data privacy concern. If I'm sitting here and if somebody is tracking what I'm trying to do it up and what sort of person I am, which is always a threatening factor. Okay, whether as an individual or an organization. Okay, so there are a lot of bounce back when we look up the data privacy. Data protection is something is a large concern for all of us. Okay, I don't know how many of the organizations are tracking my every system. Okay, and requires uh, the part of how do I take care of my data and draw. I've already told you what is intrapolity issues. Okay, that is where the machine starts communicating to another machine or an object starts communicating to another object. Very, very dangerous, not good to any of our existence. And also the challenges in regulatory and compliance as barriers. We have seen that, okay, electric vehicles are coming up, okay, in a large way, but do we have a service station? Do we have enough infrastructure to take care of the electric vehicles? Okay, so what we are looking up is like, if you have an end product ready, but do you have the process ready and the supporting mechanisms are ready to take up that sort of a product deliverables? Okay, is your city or is your country prepared to that sort of mechanism is something we are looking up. And also very important, skill gap. Okay, that's how digital India, skill India, a lot of things has been emerged from the government schemes, where it is not just about the concept, it's not about a framework, it's all about how do I train the people, okay, to use something. Now, if I give you an example, very hard case example, if I have got an incubator in one of the places, but I don't know who will use this incubator, and I don't know who is going to use this in a larger scale, because everything, even if I take up a smart printer, okay, smart printer, or something, okay, which is on a smart technology, how many of them have a skill to take up this sort of work and ensuring the entire process is smooth flown? Okay, so it's very important we have more of application oriented works. Okay, and that's how you see that most of the higher education today are focusing more on skill oriented papers rather than only the conceptual oriented papers, because we want to give more and more importance to the skill. So how do I address the skill gap? Now coming to one of the future of smart logistics. So we are looking up the autonomous supply chain. So there is not much human interventions happens, and you know from where to pick up and where to drop your objects or the goods and whatever you have taken up. And also hyper connected logistic ecosystem, which we are looking up with a lot of equipments and technology, and also AI powered customers. Digital twins is something which basically works. How do two different technologies can work together and ensure the customer experience are taken care of well, and also have a sustainable innovations? Okay, so this is the future which we are looking up, and what you're looking up on the right side, okay, that is reality. Okay, so there are a lot of drones and electric vehicles which will start pumping into the system, and they will take care of different work altogether. Now, take an example. If I'm hungry now, I'm sure most of us are hungry now. If I want something, I say just, okay, I want this. So next 5 minutes, it should get delivered. Okay, is it possible? That sort of technology which we are looking up in the future. Okay, so these are my references, okay, which I have referred. I picked up a lot of my inputs from these reports, apart from other studies which I have been doing up. And thank you so much. I'm open to the questions. If I have a time, can I share the video, one of the videos?
Vani ma'am, you would like to share something from your end? Are you?
Yeah,
Because
can
I
I share
saw.
one of the videos where I can show the warehouse, how it works? Is it possible?
Sure.
I
You can.
have another 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. They're absolutely fine, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Meantime,
Meantime,
for
yeah,
Q&A from audience, if they can put it in the chat.
yeah, if you could help me out with the Q&A also, it would be better. So meantime, I will just share one of the videos which I have picked it up. One second. I'll just go back. Okay. Um, I'll take up this like last one. So Amazon is little one. I'm sorry. 1 second.
చిట్టు 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 ఇయు చిట్టు చిట్టు చిట్టు
Ma'am, meantime, you can just give me a few questions if you have got on the chat box so that I'll just work it out along with this.
Karthik sir, are you there or I will take up?
Yeah, there is one question, ma'am.
Yeah.
I think by Rishita Bono.
Huh.
What aspects need to be what aspects need to be changed so that India is on par with other countries like USA and China? Even with skilled persons, why are we lagging?
So basically, when you look up the pace of, I'm not saying we are not growing, we are not at par, but the pace of growth is very slow. Okay, when I boil it down to the amount of innovations, okay, the amount of the work which we are trying to do the future, okay, how much of our industries, even though we are skilled, okay, a lot of us from the academia, from the industries, we are looking up the process management rather than looking up the futuristic requirement of an industry. Now, if I see the US or China, they are ready for 2050. That means they are so much into looking up what could probably happen up. If I give you an example, can I have another planet? I'm sure we all know that what Elon Musk projects ho raha hai. Or how do I make the cities more compatible to live? Okay, and how do I make the easiness of my businesses? Okay, even if it is an e-commerce business, how do I make this e-commerce business at a larger scale? So what I would probably say that, okay, even though we have a lot of skill and lot of skill schemes which have come from the government initiative, private partners are looking up, but still we are a far behind. It's only because we don't look up next 10 years mein kya ho sakta hai? Where can I contribute? How do I contribute it? If I give you a small example, like I need not wanted, I'm not saying, okay, but if I want to tell you that if there is emergency of a patient, okay, there's a cardiac arrest, okay, or something happened to a person, how do I lift that person from one place to another? Do I have a solution for it? Or if there is a traffic congestion, do I have any other alternative? Okay, there are a lot of things which small things which has to be resolved. To what extent I can resolve it and be futuristic in the requirements makes a lot of visibility of the nation. Okay, so that's where when I look up US markets development and also the China's market development, they are far ahead of it. So my only uh, put would be on this, like, let us think future. Let us not only think about today's process management, system management and all. I do agree we are very highly populated, lot of categorization in the skill, there are a lot of skill gaps and all. But still, if there is a focused one, how do I look up the future and also making more of a manufacturing hub? Even though the government is taking a lot of initiative on having more and more of manufacturing hub rather than only being a service oriented, how do I improve that? Even in terms of agriculture, if I want to give you an example, how do I improve my food crisis, which is like, I know that we all know that food crisis will be the next disaster which is going to happen. How do I able to resolve this? There's also something known as agri-tech, which is coming up now, identifying what sort of a crop can be grown at what point of time, how do the weeds can be taken out, how do I and connect the customers to my the farmers directly so that there is not much interventions. So if we can work out and ensure that food is taken care for every single person, we have done with that. So that's how The Indian dynamics is very different. We are more into still on the basic requirements. I do agree other countries also has it, but the proportion of basic requirements of them is very less as compared to India, because we are highly populated, and also there are a lot of skill gaps. So this is what I want to give as an input.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Dear participants, any other questions to Dr. Vanishree?
So meantime, I'll just
Yeah, please, ma'am.
just
Sure.
take
Go
a
ahead.
little thing. This is one of the studies. I'll just
The living organism that works best when optimized to work in harmony with the busy city life. Every day around the world, millions of deliveries are made to
Ma'am,
businesses and residents in
I
the
don't
urban
think we are able
environment,
to see the
resulting in
video.
heavy traffic and
The
road
audio is-
you're
congestion.
not able to see.
There can be no doubt that urban logistics is
No, ma'am. It's only audio is coming up.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can share this in the future. Like you can share it to the participants, the slides
Yeah.
and all. Like I don't know why it's not coming, because I integrated this video to my presentation.
Ma'am, can you play in case if you have a separate video in your system?
I don't think so, sir. I would be able to download it now. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll stop sharing the thing. So you can
Yeah.
share the slides and the reports which I have shared it to the participants.
Sure, ma'am.
I would be good to take some more questions if you have, and hope I could give some inputs about what is going to happen in the logistics.
Yes. Definitely, ma'am. Dear audience, do we have any questions for ma'am? If so, you put it up in the
Yeah,
chat.
Karthik sir, I would be more than happy to actually, look for ma'am perspective. Ma'am, if you allow me.
Please, ma'am. Please, ma'am. Go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am. So we were talking about many challenges. So at the same time, what role does the sustainability play in the evaluation of smart logistic? I'm just talking in terms of that how startup align their operation with the green practices, because that is something I just thought maybe
That is the
the
bottom of
top of
the
the top.
whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the entire conversations, ma'am, on the startups when we look up, okay, even though their initial contribution is less, but every effort have to be done by the startups to look forward. How do I integrate with the sustainability practices? Now, if I give you a small example, if I'm a water bottle distributor, okay, what sort of vehicles do I use it up? Okay, will also make a difference, because in cities nowadays have a problem with drinking water. So there are a lot of startups, okay, which is looking up, can I solve the problem of drinking water and ensuring that, okay, everybody has a safe drinking water. Okay, all those PHI levels have to be measured, everything is taken care. If I can deliver this with the electric vehicle, yeah, मैं कर सकती हूँ, because you also have to look up what is I can all we can all not only look up only the profit making for a shorter period of time. We should look up in a larger scale, how do my practices becomes one of the best practices where people will really appreciate the work we are trying to do it up. So if I can replace this fuel vehicle to a electric vehicle, and people starts looking up the visibility of the noise pollution, okay, which can be reduced, the carbon emission which can be reduced, all these stuff matters, because today customers are also looking up this. Even if I buy a cloth today, even if we buy some shoes, footwear, whatever, we're looking up what sort of products are getting into that and where it is coming. So all these pointers can be taken up by the startups and incline in their processes. So today, startups are well aware that they cannot just start any organization just as it is. They also have to see what impact the particular product is trying to do it up. So especially in smart logistics, we look up the delivery mechanism from end to end point. I think Preeti has some question.
Yeah, I can see Preeti ma'am. I can see you have raised the hand. Ma'am, can we unmute Preeti ma'am? Preeti Mangala ma'am? Prabha ma'am?
For Indian roads, city lanes help the smart city logistics. Okay, how can they plan? So I have one question, which I could read it from the chat box. How are Indian roads and city lanes help our smart logistics? So definitely, sir, most of the commuting which happens up, okay, from one lane to another lane, it's through the roads. So if my roads, city lanes are well planned, okay, then you can have a smooth flow. Instead of taking 1 hour or 2 hours to deliver something, I can quickly run through the 20. Because for a startup like us, okay, we look up how quick delivery happens. So what is the turnaround of it? Okay, so that is something. And urban planning is very much required. Okay, any city development, okay, there should be a proper planning, strategical planning. Where are the things have to be placed and how it has to be routed through. Okay, even though you have a conjunctions, you even if you have a narrow roads or narrow infrastructures, how do I ensure there is a smooth flow of the people, or even for the logistics that matters for it. So this is something which I want to add it upon. So infrastructure makes a lot of difference to the logistics things. And drone ka still in India, we will take a time. This is something which I showed it. Most of the countries have started opting. Maybe in few years, even in India, we will have it up. But there are a lot of problem with your regulation compliances. A lot of legalities are there, which has to be getting cleared over there.
Priti ma'am, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Good
Very
evening, Vanishree ma'am. Good
Yeah,
evening,
please.
Pankaj ma'am and all. It was very nice presentation and very worthy presentation. You have put all your thoughts together. We really appreciate and we are benefited by this. I wanted to put my reflection on your presentation, if Pankaj ma'am allows me.
Yeah,
Most welcome, ma'am.
Surely.
Yeah, according to you, ma'am, while the smart logistics sector presents significant challenges such as high costs, regulatory complexities, and integration difficulties, there are also abundant opportunities for startups to innovate, drive sustainability, and lead in automation and data driven solutions. With a forward thinking approach, an ability to adapt to rapid changes, and a focus on customer centric solutions, startups in this space can make a considerable impact. By leveraging their agility and creativity, startups can turn challenges of smart logistics into opportunities for disruptive innovation, growth, and long term success. India 2020 Agenda Logistics in 2025, India Startups One Tracker, Challenges in Urban Logistics, Drones, Robots, Smart Warehouses were worthwhile in your presentation, ma'am. Thank you, organizers, for this opportunity. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. I was making a note, like you will ask me a question, like,
No, ma'am, like you answered the previous question, what you answered, similar
okay.
question I had. So thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Uh, yes, I do agree there are a lot of challenges, but yeah, we are Indians, so we will do it. Definitely, we will ensure that all these challenges becomes an opportunity for all of us. It's only a time, and how do we align the technology with us quickly and ensure the dream of 5 trillion economy, we are with that. Yes,
So, Vani ma'am, I have one more
question. Yeah.
query from my end because this is
Yes.
more relevant for our theme for the entire FDP. How can startups effectively collaborate with established players in the logistics industry to scale their solutions? Because that is very, very important area. So, what is your perspective, ma'am?
Ma'am, more of the startups should start having an interaction and collaborations. Nowadays, what I could see that, okay, we are working on a isolation. Like if I am a startup, okay, I know what I want to do it up, and I have a very small boundary, so I don't put my ideas into a larger scale. Maybe new season people are trying to do that, but there is no platforms. So the two things which we have to look up is whether we have enough platforms, okay, which has been created for these startups to explore further and also take lot of capital into them. Because when we see startup, the major problem comes not only in the technical glitches they have at it, but also on the finances. Do we have enough platforms for their representation even at the global level? So what I'm trying to tell you that we are equivalently good like any other country startup. It's only that how do my government or my private bodies are allowing us to give those platforms at the global level, so that not only I think about that I have to serve only this particular city, I have this particular problem, let me solve this. No, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है. जो problem हमारा है वो दूसरा country में है. Like when I see the India has so many challenges, which is a representation of most of the countries. So if I can scale this to that country, that means I'm able to do a larger picture. So one key thing which I could see is that the platforms have to be created at the global level, not only at the country level. Second is what sort of collaborations the countries are trying to get into that. Okay, as a startup, I should also know what my government is trying to do with it. How much of, okay, we have a friendly relation. I'm sure last decades, okay, and this decade also, it's going to be very, very promising for us. That's how we can see a lot of improvements in Indian way the business are moving ahead. So collaborations and network with the industries. So let us startup should not get a fear that, okay, मैं छोटा हूँ, I don't know whether I'm going to exist. Let us not do that. Okay, we are be unicorns. Okay, every startup should look up as how do I become a unicorn in next 1 or 2 years. Okay, so that is the pitch they have to take it up. So a lot of collaboration, interaction, networking, and platforms can probably solve with the finances. Huge amount of finance backup is required. So this is something can resolve the particular problem, ma'am. Hope I could.
I think I can see Hemlata ma'am is trying to relate.
Yeah,
Hemlata ma'am, I
yeah.
think she has some query.
Raised her hand. Hemlata has raised her hand, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Can you, ma'am, Hemlata ma'am, can you please unmute?
Good evening to you, madam. It was a wonderful presentation and quite informative with respect to supply chain management and all that. I have a question,
Okay.
like how can we make every city a smart city? Like, can we develop a model which can cater to the needs of smart city throughout India, keeping in mind the sustainability and also the current GDP? Is it possible?
Ma'am, the 110 recognized smart cities is a piloting itself. Okay, if we can achieve that 100 to 110 cities is really a smart city concept, which we have to bring down, where you have an optimization, efficiency, and effectiveness in every processes and infrastructure which you want to bring in, then we can scale it up. So any project at this level, okay, requires a scalability. Definitely the government, okay, would take it forward. And remember, so, let us also remember that, okay, this 100 or 110 itself is very challenging. So every city is equivalently have to be developing. Their contribution to the GDP is always measured. Now, we all know that the way the Telangana is progressing in South, if I'm talking about Telangana to Karnataka, there is a lot of competition. To my Kerala development, every state, every city's development has its own dynamics. So bringing this 100 or 110 cities to a particular level and benchmarking them and then scaling up. So that is the project. Probably like we have to look up, not everything getting together. It shouldn't happen like that, because otherwise we will not be able to sustain it up.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
At what junctions do we need to leverage AI techniques in supply chain management?
Every single step. Every single step. So that is the intervention what we are looking up from the AI now. From the simulation to the predictive, everything is well processed.
So can we come up with a general model for all kinds of problems?
No.
Or it has to be customized?
It has to be tailor-made. It has to be tailor-made. It is very clear. You cannot have a generalized model for every single problem or every single transactions which we are going to take it up. It should be more of customized, okay, or tailor-made. Okay, if I have this, how do I cater this? So we have to look up for the opportunities or the problem which is there and identify how do I resolve this particular problem with the AI backed up.
Okay,
without
thank you
AI
so much.
or without technology for that matter, okay, it's too difficult to imagine today the world, because we have far ahead, we have walked on this and you cannot look back.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay.
I think one more, Raja Kumar sir.
Hello.
Yes,
we
sir.
can hear you, sir. Sir, you are
Sir,
on
you're
mute.
in mute.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Please,
Your
sir.
session is very audible, madam. Session is very informative. Then, what are the basic parameter we can make it as a smart logistic, madam? As some of the thing we can have infrastructure depending on the IT infrastructure. Is it feasible for from one place to one state to another state? We can having that entire network. It will be there, madam. Is it possible?
Sir,
Within the state, we can having that one bandwidth is there. We can
yes.
moving on to the one state to another state. That we can having some bandwidth challenges must be there. Is it possible?
Yes, sir. With the 5G technology, definitely it will be a very opportunistic for us. Okay. Now, there are a lot of private investors which they are investing on ensuring that not only within the city, but also the outside cities or outside the states, which can be transported. There are a lot of infrastructure, IT infrastructure and physical infrastructure. Dono chahiye. It is not
Yes.
just about
Yes.
IT
Suppo-
backup. Okay. But also,
suppose we are using a mobile phone. Sometime we can have lagging the networks and basic 4G and all the things. We can moving on to the 5G network. How it will be covered with the entire
yes, sir.
cities and like that. That's
Yes,
why
sir.
I'm
Yes, sir.
asking that.
Which is very visible in China now. If you see the China's entire nation is it's almost in the 5G network. They're also looking up 6G or 7G, whatever the future they're looking.
Yes.
That's how they are very futuristic. So if
Yes.
the technology network connectivity is taken care, well, definitely the problem of this bandwidth and network issues can be taken care. So a lot of investments are going on in
Yes.
India also for this. Sir.
Yes.
A lot of private players which have come up and they're contributing for
Yeah,
that.
most of the private logistic providers, they'll be having a special network they'll be making for that for a logistic. But we can having the globalized, then we can each and everyone they'll be come up with that this type of logistic, madam.
Yes, sir, definitely. Because until and unless the government gives the supporting hand, it is difficult, okay, with the given amount of investment. So definitely
Yes.
government is forwarding for this. How do they can
Yes.
have the spaces for them, ensuring that more and more people gets benefited out of it.
Suppose the logistic we are having that either we can have shipment and all the thing. Is it possible
Yes.
there in that ocean also? It should be
Yes,
there.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Even cargo tracking can happen now. Even what material you have kept it in that layers, what materials
Yes.
have gone, everything can be easily tracked. Sitting
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Sitting here.
Is it visible that
Yes, sir.
the
Visible.
container elements also it should be visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you,
Everything
madam.
is well tracked.
Okay, madam. Thank
That's
you, madam.
also a
Thank you.
challenge. Okay, it is
Yes. Yes.
too well tracked.
Yes, madam. Yes. Thank you, madam. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
the
sir.
organizers also. Thank you.
Okay, Jyoti has asked a question. Should I take it?
Yes, ma'am. Please
Okay.
take it because this is
Okay.
important, ma'am.
Okay. So is it not required? I'll just read out. Okay. She has given me a direct message. Is it not required for more of perspective analytics rather than a predictive analysis in developing smart city? Ma'am, perspective analysis, like where we capture what as of today you have got the experience, okay, with the process and systems in place. Predictive is that what is that I'm going to look up in next few days, okay, can I meet those requirements? Because for a business, okay, for any businesses chota se bada, it is not only for today's they are working, the next, okay, few years, how do I can cater it up? That's how you can see that there are a lot of organizations, okay, they look up for multi products, okay, there's nothing like a single product today. There are multi products, multi level of customer segmentation, market segmentation, and how do I cater to different peoples, okay, so at different point of time. So perspective analysis, we do understand what the process, okay, which has to go through, what was my previous things, and still what are the improvements can be done. But if you look up the real-time businesses, okay, they look up for forecasting what could be the amount of demand and what sort of supply chain mechanism I have to give it up to the given object or the goods which I'm going to take it up. Jyoti ma'am, still if you want to have few more questions, you have raised your hand.
Hello,
Jyoti V.
am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I had asked about the prescriptive analytics,
Yes,
that is saying to the uncertainty in the future.
yes.
Can we develop a design with respect to uncertainty, which we call it as prescriptive analytics?
Okay, it's prescriptive. Okay.
Yes.
Uh, so, ma'am, uncertainty in terms of like, if I want to give you an example, where the small work I have was working on was on understanding how do my climate change has an impact. To what extent I can predict, okay, when are my floods are there, are earthquakes are there? Can I make the things resilient to it? Okay, now take an example. If I have a bridge constructed or a road constructed, if there is some sort of natural calamity, and how do I predict it? Okay, how do I have the process done to reduce the impact of this uncertainty? We can still do it. There are organizations which are trying to do it up now, which I gave you an example of the China's longest bridge. Okay, it has been tremendously worked on every level. How much of floods it can take it up, how much of disturbance in the ocean patterns it can take it up. They have already built 6 islands to ensure the things are taken care. So like all these sets will ensure your uncertainties can be managed. But I'm making very clear, uncertainty of the future cannot be mitigated. It's like you can predict it and you can reduce it to an extent, but you cannot nullify it. So we have not gone to that extent that everything can be nullified. So uncertainties is you can predict it, but still you will not be able to do much on it. Is convincing, ma'am? Jyoti ma'am? If you're there, Jyoti ma'am?
I'm sure. So I think we are okay with the Q&A now. Karthik sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So hopefully there are no other questions. If there are any also, you can leave it to us. We will, Vanishree ma'am is not new to us. She's well known to us. We will ensure the questions are passed on and we'll get you the queries answered. Ma'am, on behalf of everybody, on behalf of ACT, St. Francis College, and all the organizers of us, thank you so much for accepting our invite and giving us a session on challenges and opportunities for startups in smart logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of you all, ma'am, thank you so much
So
for
thank you
delivering
so
the
much for
lecture.
the organizers. Special thanks to Dr. Pankaj ma'am. It was real opportunity for me to explore a lot because I was working on the mobility, but logistic and mobility is so well connected. So thanks for giving me an opportunity to explore myself and to give me this platform to speak to a larger audience like this. If I've contributed 0.001% of your requirement, I'm really satisfied for it.
Yeah, certainly, yes, ma'am. Once again, thank you so much on behalf of the college and the ACT. On our behalf, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you
And
so
also,
much, Vani ma'am.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much.
ma'am. Thank you so much. Good night to everybody.
yeah, good night, ma'am.
Thank
And
you.
also, as one more gratitude to Vadiraj Managoli as well, Senior Director, Capgemini. And I think in the first session, he has already spoken about creating sustainable and smart infrastructure for startup ecosystems. Uh, as a whole, thanks to all both the speakers. Thanks to our organizers today. Thanks to those who helped us, Ms. Sabita, Head, BCA Department, Ms. Prabha, Assistant Professor from the Computer Science Department, Mr. Satish Kumar, Head English Department, and Ms. Chitra from the Commerce Department. All four of you, thank you so much. You're still here with us, organizing and managing the technical aspects and ensuring the both the sessions goes on smoothly. Thanks to all four of you. Pankaj ma'am, as usual, thank you so much, the coordinator of ATAL FDP. And moreover, still we have 167 participants with us. Thanks to all of you for being till now and actively listening to both the sessions and actively involving in the Q&A and reflections. Thank you so much, everybody. See you in the upcoming sessions tomorrow and day after. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
So
sir.
thank you, Karthik sir. I just wanted to make one announcement to all the participants who are with us now. Kindly plan your Saturday in advance because Saturday is going to be a little longer day for all of us. because we will be completing the 6 days FDP on Saturday, that is 7th of December. So my humble request to all the participants who are still there with us, and I know you may be waiting for your dinner time, so I will not hold you, but kindly plan your Saturday properly in a proper way, because we will be starting at 2 and everything will get over 7:30 in the evening. Kindly remind, I just wanted to remind all of you that we will be having the online assessment on Saturday around 6:30. So kindly be available. Don't miss out, because so far I can see the pattern. Most of you miss out the links for your attendance, and then the separate messages come to me. I can help you out, but please ensure that for the assessment you have to help yourself. I will try from our side as well, that we'll be able to provide you certain notes so that you can at least prepare for your assessment. So kindly plan your day accordingly. So thank you so much. And one more thing, the last thing from my end, kindly log in through your ATAL ID. That is I've been reminding. Again, my humble request to all of you, if in case you are missing out your attendance, kindly check your attendance, because we have started marking attendance in the ATAL portal as well. So please ensure that you are checking your attendance in the ATAL portal and you are logging in here in these sessions with your ATAL name and email ID. So thank you so much, and we'll look forward for the day 5 of the FDP. Till then, thank you so much and good night. Prabha ma'am, can we leave?
Sure, ma'am. We'll stop the recording as well. Thank you.